How'd you do that?
And we're live, baby. We live.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Totally, dude.
Such a new concept.
What's up, D&D Nation? No, I'm just kidding.
And I'm feeling okay, and with that, I'm gone.
I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Adventures in Loxos, Season 2, The Glorious Mini. And, yeah, I'm Lord Pog, and I'm here with them old school gamers. And, yeah, let's get into the intros, shall we? The introductions, as they call it. Starting at the top, we have AGTX, the Dragons. And he will be playing you, Quill, the human slayer / dragon shaman. Shaman!
That always gets old.
Yeah. It was old the first day you did it.
It wasn't cool then, it's not cool now.
We could do his new intro where we call them dragons.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You can't even fucking do it.
Yeah.
You can't even do it right.
Ooh, dragons.
Ness, if someone's gonna do it fucking right. God damn it.
Look, man, talking in a
dragon summer.
There you go.
Ooh,
There you go.
sama.
My nipples got hard for you. Good boy.
This is why I don't do it right.
Do it.
I don't want to be the excuse for your nipples. Anyway.
Lie again. Lie a motherfucking
Secretly
again.
do, it's okay.
And then we're moving on. Next, we have Icy Hot _2305, and he will be playing the half drow Zoltan Heisenberg, the deep druid, not your mama's druid. He doesn't get his powers from forests and fields and all that. No, his nature comes from the caves, the mountains, the deep places beneath the ground. The cockles.
They're called. Yeah, the cockles.
The cock.
Emphasis on the cock.
Ulls. The cock
I said what I
and
said.
ulls. The cock and ulls.
And ulls. Yeah.
The
My
cockles.
character does not swing left.
This
Then
character swings over the fence. What you talking about?
then we have Cassid 69.
Hey yo.
Ooh, I was counting down in my head. I was like, ooh, they may be.
This motherfucker gives a half a thousand. He's like, what? What?
Moving on. We have Cassid 69, and she will be playing Agaricus, the Mycetid Pion Mender. Now, a Mycetid is like a halfling. They're about 4 feet tall, but they are mushrooms. They're mushroom folk, you know? And the one that Agaricus is a particular Mycetid called an androgynine, which are neither male nor female. They are completely in the plant world and fungi world, no, like asexual, you know? And yeah, it's a special kind. They're the Pion Mender, which is a class, a homebrewed class, buffs and heals mainly. Buffs and heals. Is there anything you want to say, Agaricus? Okay, moving along. Then we have Tempest Inferno. And he will be playing the halfling Otis Herokin. And Otis here, yes, he's about 4 foot tall, and he was one of the OG members of the Glorious Mini, who were once the Inglorious Few, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. He's one of the OG members. He was with the group before we started recording our sessions, but he had to drop out, and now he's come back to get his GED. Everybody, yay!
No, none of that.
Yay.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, he is a cleric / favored soul / champion of Obad High. And yeah, that's Otis, the halfling. Then we have Android. Then we have Android, who will be playing Android for
Dang.
Risen. Do what?
I said dang because
Dang.
you like choked on my name.
Oh, I didn't choke. I burped, but I was trying to like cover it up. But thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing out the burp.
You're welcome.
Yeah, next time I'm just gonna let it rip. I'm gonna be like Android, Android for Risen,
And
Android. He will be playing the half wood elf, half human, bard / paladin / saint of Corlon Lorethian. And the way we do paladins in this campaign is a paladin's actually a prestige class. So instead of doing it like a regular class, we made it a prestige class out of the 3.5 book. What is it? What 3.5? Unearthed Arcana, I believe. And yeah, because we play 3.5. And it's all killer, no filler for that paladin class right there. He's Lord Android Frisen. He's got a manor and everything, and yeah, he is the self-proclaimed main character. Unless he gets into a fight. Then you Quill is now the self-proclaimed main character. And I'm Lord Pog, your humble DM. And yeah, that about does it. So let's get into the intro, shall we? Intro.
What's that?
This nigga's saying shit like it's weed. Let's get to the intro.
Let's get into the intro. Hey, how about we just do the fade out real quick and then we can
beautiful intro.
yeah. All right. Everybody good? Great. Awesome.
No.
So, we know you're not, but I mean, just fake it till you make it, bud. That's what I've been trying to tell you. So here we are. Recap time. You guys saw basically last session, we did not get a lot of information as to what your guys' next move is. According to this whole plot to assassinate Mazaru and trying to figure out who is possibly really behind it. Because now you guys aren't convinced that Kara Shin actually had anything to do with it. You saw Agaricus. We got sidetracked real heavily because you guys happened to see Agaricus come out of her pocket, as Agaricus likes to call it. And Agaricus came out of the pocket, said stay out of their pocket. You Quill remembered that he's got keys that'll do something similar, so he opened up his own like little Lamont's tiny hut to find out that it's not Lamont's tiny hut. It's a cabin. It's like it's seemingly, oh man, a hiccup. It's seemingly like a wooden cabin. I'm just over here getting sauce. Don't mind me. It's seemingly like a wooden cabin that comes completely furnished It was huge, spacious, luxurious. You guys loved it. Come to find out, it's not a pocket dimension at all. It's in a real place. And it made Solar and Cassius, once they became aware of it, extremely nervous. A lot of conversations happened. You guys discovered some things that made you worry. Android in particular, you found a book that started talking about history you've never even heard of, and places you've never even heard of, continents you've never even heard of, and started kind of seeming like something else was happening there. And then you Quill busted out the what was the name of that pill?
Kamikaze.
No, not it wasn't a kamikaze, was it?
Oh no, it was all the rage.
Yeah, all the rage. Yes, that's right. And that he got from the same person, he bought from the same person who sold him the keys. He still don't remember the person who sold him the keys, but he gave it to Otis to analyze, because Otis has some knowledge in medicine, just not a whole lot in alchemy. He broke the capsule open and everything, and Cassius, trying to be prudent, slapped the dust off. Yeah, slapped the dust off the table, trying to get it away from Otis. And as you guys were leaving, a side effect from that drug took place. You saw a giant spider come busting up out of the ground, because it's now all hyped up on all the rage, and it's this massive, muscle-bound spider with like this face. Yeah, its face is just full of like teeth and everything. It's like mutated it, and it's just this massive, really pissed off spider. And you guys were about to initiate it in combat. We established last session that there was no way it was going to beat your combined initiative, so you guys are going to get to go first in the initiative. And also, I rolled for its initiative, though, like to see what it was going to do this round, and it neither is going to move nor attack this round, so you guys pretty much get a free round on it to just completely hammer it in if you want. Or, you guys you go through the move phase, just to reiterate how the how our new combat system works. You have your move phase, and then you have your attack phase. So you guys are in the move phase right now, and so yeah, and the move phase is basically all for strategy, so you all can discuss with one another how you're going to move, how you're going to approach this thing, and yeah.
Got a question for you, Coach.
What's that?
Can I use my hourglass ability
To do what?
to go back in time?
Well, the hourglass.
Can't make it my bitch.
Or does that only work in combat?
Well, no. You can use it at any time, but the hourglass is very. The time frame that you can move back is very limited. You know what I'm saying? So you would be. You can use it. I'll tell you, it would probably take you back just before you guys shut the door. Like when you guys were all shuffling out that door and you shut it, it would take you to just before then. It's not going to take you back to when Cassius knocked the powder off the table. That's a little too far back now at this point. A lot happened in between that moment and the moment you all decided to leave. Oh yeah, something else too. It tore a hole in the fabric of reality. Yeah. So it's all. So you guys are like literally standing there looking at this thing, and there's like a freaking hole, in reality. Like you could see into the cabin, and but you're not in the cabin. You could literally like walk a complete 360 degree around the freaking hole, and yeah. But it doesn't look like an actual tear. It looks more like, like when you break out a brick wall or something, or splintered wood. It's not like it tore a hole in reality. It's more like it broke.
Alrighty. I'm gonna still do it. I'm gonna go back in time.
All right. So you focus the hourglass and it goes, and then you hear it go zzz, zzz, and it's painful. Like it feels like for a split second there you're having a heart attack. It's worse than the last time you used it like this. It's like, ugh, you know, and your vision becomes blurry as everything around you just shifts and moves backwards. And you don't realize it because your body never actually moves from where you're standing. It's almost like your body is just transported to where it needs to be at that moment in time when you were standing there. And you're, boom, right back to where you guys were. So this is going to be jarring for the rest of y'all, but now you guys are no longer standing outside that doorway with the hole in the wall. You're now standing there with Solar yelling at Cassius, being like, you know, you put that crap on the ground. And he's like, well, yeah, I wanted to get it out of the way, so I just swiped it off the table and put it down on the ground. And Solar's like, yeah, but there's cracks in the ground. You don't know what underneath those cracks will find that stuff.
Can I interrupt them and say we don't have time for this?
They just both look at you stunned. Solar's like, excuse me?
What he did is, no bueno, something's gonna pop out. We need to stop it before it breaks reality.
Solar looks at Cassius and he's like, and then back at you and he's like, what are you talking about? And then that's when you all feel the ground begin to rumble. Solar's like, oh, we better get out of here, everybody. So, what is everybody doing now? Like when Zoltan says that, the ground starts rumbling, everything, you know? What is everybody doing? Because you guys are now completely unaware of the situation you were just in. So I know that's kind of jarring as players, but I want you to pretend like you don't know that a giant spider is about to come busting up out of the floor.
Yeah.
You know?
Otis is gonna get. Oh boy, I sure hope a giant spider doesn't come busting up out of the floor.
All right, what is Otis doing? I'm sorry.
Otis is gonna look at Zoltan weird and then just start making his way to the door. Like, what?
I'm telling him no. I'm yelling at him like, no, other door.
Solar's like, other door? You mean to the outside?
Yes. I point at my hourglass and say, we broke reality. We need to go out the other door.
Solar looks at your hourglass and then looks at you and goes, what did you do?
We opened the door, spider came out the door, broke a hole through reality.
Spider.
It's about this time that the planks of wood on the ground, the flooring starts to crack, starts to split. Solar
I
says,
guess Otis is gonna bolt the other way outside.
what is Uquill and Android and Agaricus doing?
It just throws up.
Agaricus just throws up.
Yes.
So
That's one way to do it.
Agaricus starts vomiting. Any thoughts from anybody on that?
No, Zoltan's shocked at this point.
Otis makes a disgusted face as he's walking like, ew.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't fucking know. I guess I just screech incomprehensibly. Little known fact: Android really hates spiders. That's one of his things. He doesn't like spiders. This isn't good for him.
Oh, cool. So, as you're contemplating that, Android, one of the like a hole in the floor busts open, and you see just a giant furry muscular arm just come busted out of there, just like that. Just boom, and plants itself, and you can hear something as it's trying to like use that bit of leverage to bust through the rest of the floor. Solar just kind of sighs. He's like, "Okay, if we can't go out the front door, then let's go out the back door. But let's take care of this and then get out of here as quickly as possible."
Okay.
Solar looks at you, Quill, and he's like, "And you're the only one that using that door can get that door open. So you have to come. We have to come back here with you. So no wandering off."
Yes.
So does everybody bolt for the back door then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Alright. So what about Agaricus? Does Agaricus go with them, or does they just stay there still vomiting?
Oh no. I mean, he's walking and vomiting, but you know.
Oh my.
We can take this fucking thing anywhere.
So you guys bolt out the back sliding door, glass door onto the deck, just in time to see the spider come breaking up out of the ground, just looking around, and it just instinctively runs through the front door again, breaking a hole in reality.
What a lad.
No, I'm just kidding. What a guy. Yeah, it breaks through the door and it's just like,
He said, "You will not thwart my plans."
yeah. I am the DM. If I want a hole in reality, it breaks through the ground and looks around and sees you all out there on the back deck. And you guys once again see this furry, muscular, monstrous freaking spider just looking around, and it sees you all and it starts to like turn its body to try and face you guys and get up out of that hole. You all are you guys are bunched up on this deck.
Oh, well.
Yeah. There is stairs leading you up off the deck down to like the ground floor, but I'm just making you all aware of your positioning. Really at this point it's up to you if you want to fight it or retreat or what. Let me know. It's really up to you guys at this point. Well, don't everybody step forward to make a plan at once.
I'm looking at Uquil and Android right now.
Euclid has one plan and one plan only.
So,
Just draw the sword. Alright, let's fight.
yeah, I guess Android is gonna like question Solar a little bit quickly, you know, while he's got time, and just be like, so, if we kill this thing and dispose of the body, we're fine. Like, it's not gonna hurt anything here. We just have to kill it and remove it from here. Is that right?
He goes, I don't know what we've done. He goes, as far as that goes. He goes, but I will say this. At this point of where we are, something like that doesn't exist.
Right. So essentially what I'm getting at is we'd be better off not letting that thing run off into the world. So we'd be better off killing it and dragging it out of here with us.
He goes, essentially, yes. Or disposing of it somehow.
Okay. Well, let's kill it. We'll stuff it in my bag of holding and we'll go home.
That is
Well, okay.
natural.
Actually, new plan. Android's eyes widen. He's like, new plan. We'll kill it. We'll drag it out of here, and then we'll stuff it in my bag of holding.
He looks at you and goes, "Oh yeah." He's like,
I don't even want to play like I even know. I just know. All I know is that we should drag it out of here before we stuff it in my bag of holding. Something tells me that's a better idea. So that's what we'll do. We'll kill it, we'll drag it out of here, we'll stuff it in my bag of holding in case this thing, being where we're from, hurts us also.
he goes, "Okay." He goes, let's do it then. So everybody, again, your initiatives are gonna beat this thing. So, but we did reset the fight, so I get to roll again.
Doucher.
Yeah. Hey, nobody told you guys to let Zoltan take away your freebie. Oh, nice.
Wow.
It gets
Whoa, okay.
it gets to move and attack. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
My-
Last time it rolled a 1. This time it rolled a straight up 4. Nice.
My fault. I was like reality. I'll take that back.
Zoltan rewinds again. Actually,
Rewind
Zoltan, speaking of which, you're like breathing extremely heavy. Like you notice that you're just like kind of pouring sweat. And you can just feel and you're looking down at the hourglass and something very strange is taking place. The sand in the hourglass isn't filtering down, it's filtering up.
Huh? Zoltan doesn't
Meaning you're
like
done fucked up.
this. Zoltan no like this now.
Yeah, it's filtering up. It's making like a and the sand is filtering up.
One more time for the people in the back.
It's going and it's filtering up.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow. I thought we was doing a beat.
like
My
Yeah,
bad.
let's do it. Let's do it right now. Here, I'll lay down the Bismarcky. Okay. Oh baby.
No
you.
way.
Anyway.
What I need.
All right, yeah. Did you say Android doesn't like that, or did Zoltan say I don't like that?
And Android said that.
Ah,
I don't like that.
yeah. All right. Well, but still, your initiatives went out the day, so you guys get to go through the move phase first. So everybody decide what you're gonna do, and then do it. Agaricus, fix your face.
Pretty fucking much. Like, I can't keep looking at it. Stop doing whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, Agaricus is over there just blowing chunks right now, you guys. Apparently, Agaricus is not fans of spiders either.
It was just scary.
Yeah, it's not a... Yeah. Oh,
Let me read something real quick.
you guys should just, y'all ought to just go to the underworld and wander around for a little while.
No, I'm good.
Nah, that's okay.
No, thank you.
I'm
You
on
could
it.
be the only one be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's
I
let's
appreciate
do
the
it.
offer, but I must politely decline.
There's things in
I
that.
feel like
Huh?
I was gonna say that I feel like Agaricus like wasn't so afraid of the spider, but like just how it happened freaked him out.
Still freaked out about meeting the devil.
Yeah.
About meeting the devil.
she,
Yeah.
she had a interaction with Old Scratch, and it's left her rattled.
Yeah. Something like that. Something like that.
Come on. I'm a 13th level bard. That's correct. 9, 10, 11,
Yep.
12. Okay, so I can target 2 allies with my Inspire Greatness. I'm gonna play an Inspire Greatness, and I'm gonna target Uquil and Zoltan.
Okay. And what
Yeah,
does that do?
Let me read it. A bard of 9th level or higher with 12 or more ranks in a perform skill can use music or poetics to inspire greatness in himself or a single willing ally within 30 feet, granting him or her extra fighting capability. To inspire greatness, a bard must sing and an ally must hear him sing. The effect lasts for as long as the ally hears the bard sing, and for 5 rounds thereafter. A creature inspired with greatness gains 2 bonus hit dice, d10s, the commensurate number of temporary hit points. Apply the target's constitution modifier, if any, to these bonus hit dice. A +2 competence bonus on attack rolls, and a +1 competence bonus on fortitude saves. The bonus hit dice count as regular hit dice for determining the effect of spells that are hit dice dependent. Inspire Greatness is a mind affecting ability.
So, in essence, did you guys...
They get 20 extra health and +2 to attacks and +1 to fortitude.
Mm-hmm. So you get 20 extra health. So apply that to your character sheets. Everybody, by the way, should be completely healed at this point, because everybody's rested and yada yada yada. So just give yourself 20 temporary hit points, and the +2 to your attack, and the what do you call it? The +1 to fortitude, you said? Correct?
Yes.
I think it's a +1 to your fortitude, yes. All right.
Yes,
so,
+1 to fortitude. I had to read back through it and find where it said, yeah, +1 on fortitude.
Okay, so
+2 to attacks.
that's Uquil and Zoltan. You guys have all that going on. So that's what Android's doing with his move action. He just starts, humming you guys a ditty. Dun 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 dun,
Yes. Uquil kind of leans back and throws one arm back just a wee little bit, acting like there's a breeze on his face.
What's everybody else doing? Because you technically don't have to wait your turn, so you guys can just start telling me what you're doing, This isn't a turn-based thing anymore. It's kind of like an all-at-once thing, but you all may want to make sure with whatever it is you're going to do, it ain't going to conflict with something else somebody else is going to do,
Otis is going to mount Cassius and fly up.
All right.
At least 20 feet.
20
and
feet.
Open up the monster manual.
All right.
The
So,
spider.
ooh. All right, so Cassius goes flying up. He goes flying up kind of like diagonally 20 feet in the air. That way you still have a good eye shot of the of the back door as the thing is coming out the back door. And you said you open up the monster manual, right?
Yes.
So you open up the monster manual and you begin to focus on the spider in there. And you see some, the monster manual works as it's blank pages and then it writes itself for you and gives you information, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you see something very peculiar suddenly happen in the book as it writes itself. It says, you see some writing that says, "Who is this?" Question mark.
Oh no.
And we're dead.
Otis is going to look at it and be like, yeah, no, and close it.
You try to do that and it won't let itself close. It actually forces itself open and kind of welds itself to your hands, and it says, Don't try to run now. Who is this? Speak."
This is Otis. Who dis?
Otis? Otis who? Question mark.
It's your mama.
Your phone, who dis?
You say Otis Hirokin, and you notice as you speak into the book, your words like appear in the book. It says Otis Hirokin. No, that can't be. And suddenly you just vanish. Like everybody sees this like light in the sky, and Otis and Cassius both are just gone.
Oh,
Never fucking fails.
No time
I
to
didn't
worry.
even try to do anything this time.
Never fucking fails.
This isn't my fault.
man just disappeared. Oh my lord.
Spider was scaly. I'm sorry.
No, you run.
We will get to you in a moment, Otis.
Sure. Take
yeah.
time.
Yeah. What about you, Quill, Zoltan, and Agaricus? What are you guys doing?
You cool just watches all that and sighs deeply. He's like, oh, fucking motherfucking fuck.
Agaricus just like sends you Quill his like buckler, uses his buckler, not sends it to him, but you know what I
The
mean.
defender.
Yeah.
Defender, yeah.
Oh, okay, so Agaricus, you pull out, you're holding your buckler and you point it in the direction of you, Quill, and you watch as the buckler like glows for a minute, and then it looks like a shell appears over you for like a moment. You just see it, woo, and then it's gone. Yeah. Wah, 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 wah. Whippets. Whippets good. No. It just yeah. It just no. Anyways, and it just but you watch as it looks like a shell just like forms over your body, like you're inside like a shell, and then it just whoop, vanishes. What about you, Zoltan?
I'm gonna use Binding Wind.
Binding Wind?
Yeah, Binding Winds.
Okay, that's technically an attack, so you gotta wait for the attack phase. Where do you want to move to?
Oh, Are we all still grouped up, I assume?
Is Binding Winds... yeah, you guys are still all grouped up on that, deck. Is Binding Winds in the player's handbook?
Complete Divine.
Complete Divine. Okay. The reason why I ask is because I'm curious, is Binding Winds like an immediate spell? Is it a, you know what I'm asking?
Standard action.
It's a standard action.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a round to complete or anything like that. You don't have to like go into some kind of long incantation or anything of that nature.
Components vs casting time 1 standard action.
Okay, so it doesn't take you like, yeah, so you basically, because it's 1 standard action, yeah, that's basically you can still move. Yeah, so you can still move. You don't have to like wait to prepare it or anything like that. I'm looking at this GIF. Yeah. Otis. Anyways, you guys don't. So yeah, but so you can move before casting it. Yeah. So if you want to move first, you can.
I'm gonna.
Before who?
I'm gonna.
Before moving.
Government names?
I'm gonna.
I said
take
Otis. What? I didn't say anybody's government name.
I thought you did.
No. No, I said before Otis.
Oh.
I said, well, no, I said
Okay.
before moving.
No, we.
Okay.
Government is.
I just misheard you.
Yeah.
Don't let him lie. He's a commie spy.
We're gonna pause this and we're gonna run it back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna listen to it back. Y'all just sit tight. No, okay. No, but you can still cast it before moving.
Yeah, I'm gonna separate myself from the vast majority of the group.
Okay. Just remember, in order to do this, though, you're gonna have to keep that spider in line of sight.
Yeah, inside.
Mm-hmm. So,
LOS boy.
to give you an idea of this deck, it's basically just your typical square deck, but it's raised up off the ground. It's high up because the cabin itself is sitting on like a cliff's edge, right? And then the deck itself reaches over past the cliff's edge and is just joisted into the side of the side of this cliff. And the cliff in of itself is probably like a good 40 foot drop off the side of this thing. Well, it's probably about 40. Yeah, about 40. So the deck itself is just a square deck. It's fairly large. It's a large enough deck that you could, like, say, move to the corner of the deck, still keep the sliding door in sight with the spider in there, because it is quite large. You can see it in there. You could move to the corner of the deck, left or right. On the left-hand side, you have where the stairwell is going to lead you down off the deck, down the side of the cliff onto the ground flooring, I guess you could say. Or you can move to the right-hand side, which is just a corner of the deck, and you could do that and be out of the group initially, like away from them. They'd probably be like a good 15 feet away from you.
Yeah, I'll do that. Move to the right.
Okay. All right, and you begin to cast your spell, or call upon your nature. What about you, Quill? What is you, Quill, gonna do?
What do you think he does? Same thing he always does.
And that is, you tell me.
Quill casts punch.
Thank you.
So you're saying you're gonna go charging towards the sliding door before the spider gets out?
Charging? He's playing the song. I'm strolling up.
Ah, nice. Well, yeah, he's playing you a song. He's not playing the
We
tune of
know.
battle. Yeah.
No. We know.
Okay, so you go strolling up to the spider. And, yeah, now it's the spider's turn, and, to move. It sees you strolling up, and it comes breaking out of it just comes bursting out of the back door, completely pulverizing the sliding back door. To meet, yeah, the sliding black door comes because completely pulverizing the door, to meet you in combat. It's just, it doesn't even, and you've never even heard a spider make that noise before, because spiders don't normally make noise, but it's going, as it comes. It's all hopped up on Mountain Dew, and it comes rolling up to you, just, its body shaking so hard, like you're walking up to it like, I'm gonna take you out, and it's just like, I'd like to see you try, and yeah, that's its move. It's just scurries right up to you, just large freaking. The second, like, its whole body doesn't make it out of the cabin, like only half of it does before it meets up with you, Quill, but the forelegs that do, and the front half of it, I guess you could call it the thorax, I think is what it's called on a spider. Half of it's still in the cabin, the front half of it's on the deck, but that front half is, for whatever reason, it's just heavy, because the second it steps out on that deck, you guys hear the joists just kind of crick a little bit. The whole deck just kind of, and everybody just kind of feels the deck shift underneath their feet.
Android
You
looks
need
like
to
he
laugh
wants
the
to
chicken
cry.
nuggies.
Android does what?
He looks like he wants to cry. He
His
does
song
not like the spider.
his, his song quickly goes from dun 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 to no, I'm never gonna dance again. Got no rhythm. All right. Anyways, yeah. So, but you guys get to attack first too. So, have at it. This isn't technically a boss enemy, so normally I would have let him attack first. But this isn't a boss battle. This is an impromptu battle, and so I'm going to be fair about it and let you guys attack first. I guess you, Quill. Well, okay. Who wants to go first? Just let me know. Agaricus, you use the shield thing on him, the buckler, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't attack. Android, you're singing, so you're kind of held up. Zoltan, you're casting a spell. You, Quill, you're engaging it physically, and Agaricus, you're standing there for an attack, and Otis, you have been milli-whopped to the Netherrealm. So, with that said, who wants to go first? Y'all decide. Like, who's gonna do what first?
I'll wait to see what spectacle Zoltan's gonna probably kill me with.
Just so I can get the shot in, I guess I'm just gonna have Solar. Because he can Solar Strike in his steel form, right? Yeah.
Can he? I
Right?
don't remember.
Let me double check.
Yeah, double check that. He might have leveled up and might be able to do it now. That
Oh
sounds
no! It's that he has a Smite Evil in steel form, so I'm gonna leave him in healer form and have him Solar Strike this dude.
okay. I couldn't remember if he leveled up and can now Solar Strike in steel form, or if like he's just got stronger attacks in steel form. No, he can Solar Strike in steel form. I'm looking at his
I didn't know if the tattoo abilities just applied across all of his forms, because I thought the healing food was only for.
He used to be able to only Solar Strike in healer form, but he leveled up. I think he can now Solar Strike in his steel form.
Oh yeah, it's down there on the bottom. I just missed it. I overlooked it.
Well, as Uncle Ruckus once said. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so glad everybody caught that without. I'm so glad everybody caught that. Like, that makes me so happy. Anyways, yeah. So you can do that. Oh, but you didn't move him to the enemy on the move round. He's still over by you, just chilling on your shoulder. You didn't move him.
So far away that he can't make. Okay.
Well, Solar Strike.
Fair
Yeah, the Solar Strike is
Fair
technically
enough.
a melee attack. Yeah, it's not a ranged attack. Yeah.
Well, then he's gonna chill, and I'm gonna chill.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Solar just hasn't moved yet. He's just watching this whole thing, just kind of baffled. Actually, I'm going to say that, like, Otis just magically disappearing, magically, deliciously disappearing from, like, out of nowhere has just got him, like, completely baffled. Like, he's worried. He's completely shook. He's not even worrying about what's going on over here at the moment. That's why he didn't move. Because he's just like, you hear him just kind of say, oh no. So, Zoltan, what are you doing then?
I'm casting the spell.
Which does what?
Let me go read it full. It does a lot. I'm not reading it. Create a flurry of air to circle and hold your target. The binding winds do not move. Instead, they become a physical barrier surrounding the object. The subject may act normally, but he or she cannot move from their current location.
Does it keep them from attacking or anything? They just cannot move, right?
Furthermore, no sonic or language dependent spells or effects may be casted into Binding Winds. Those spells cast by caster upon himself. Ranged attacks made into or out of the Binding Winds suffer a -2 penalty. Binding Winds hold flying creatures. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, they can't move, is what I see.
Okay. But like ranged attacks and things like that suffer.
Yeah.
Okay, or anything air based like a sonic attack or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just a flurry of wind just comes floating out of your hands. I mean, just like gushing wind. Just as it just comes and just wraps itself. Is there a save or a roll save
Yeah.
or anything for that?
Yeah. Reflex negates.
The binding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saving throw is a reflex, and it says spell resistant. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's definitely not spell resistant, but it is a giant spider. So, let's see. Let's see what let's see what it's gonna do. What would it be? Okay. And it's a reflex, you said?
Yep.
Okay. And it is large. So, okay. Well, ain't that about something? What is the DC on that?
20.
20?
Yep.
Okay, well, it rolled a 24.
Oh, well, that's tragic.
Yeah. I could show you the roll if you'd like. If you don't trust me.
Anyways, I'm gonna use. That didn't work. That's tragic.
Well, you know, but you did move. So yeah, you're gonna have to wait your next turn to do another spell. If you hadn't moved, you'd have been able to cast 2 spells this round. So that was its roll to see what it does this round, and then that's the roll I just rolled. So now you know what its reflex save is. But I don't care. Alright. And that's just me being polite, because that, you know, seemed like I was pulling some trickery. So I'm doing that. I'm not always going to show you my rolls, though. Just so you know. Even at times where you may demand it. Show me your roll. I'm going to be like, no. You will look up to me and you shall say, show me your roll. And I will look down on you and say, no.
The day will never come.
That's funny.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so that leaves you, Quill, and Agaricus.
Agaricus is am I in do I have a clear shot?
I want to say you, Quill, is probably, well, from where he approached. Yeah, you got a clear shot.
To use like my spore burst?
Yeah.
Alright, that's what I'd like to do.
Okay. Roll a ranged touch attack. So just roll a ranged attack.
Okay.
Whoop. Whoop. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna put that on Do Not Disturb. Okay. Alrighty. Well, that's a hit. Do you remember how much damage it does?
I'll check 1 second. Uh, 96 plus 2.
96 plus 2. Okay. I'll allow it. I believe it's a 96 plus 6. Actually.
It says plus 2 in the little thingy.
Huh.
Is that like because of the mod?
I
Because she's got like
I'm gonna show you what I
a mod
have.
on her.
Well, no, I'm gonna show you what I have, and then you all tell me if you've got a similar deal.
Is it? She's just got it written down in her weapons.
Well, I have it
See.
written down. I have it in the whole.
Oh, on the actual like old sheet.
Yeah, and if you
thing.
look at spell-like abilities, Spore Burst, Range Touch Attack, 96 plus Dex damage. Oh, plus Dex. That I'm getting
Plus
confused.
Dex,
Yeah, so it'd be 2.
Oh, okay, so it is plus her dex.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I don't
if
know
she's
where I was
got it.
getting that 6 from.
Uh,
I must have
Probably from her temporary mod, which she doesn't have set to her dex right now.
Oh, okay.
That is what it is. So like, if she has her ring activated for her dex, it'll put it as plus 6, but it's plus 2 right now because she didn't set it.
Yeah.
Right. For 23 points of damage. Alrighty. It's knocked off 23. All right. There we have it. 23 points of damage off of that. So, Agaricus, you lean back and you just chew basically and just freaking sneeze all over this thing, and the spores just go bashing right into its face, and it just kind of
Ooh.
yeah. And then
After spore from when she was vomiting.
yeah, it's got a little bit of caca in it. After that's done, it looks like right at you, Agaricus, and like screams almost. It's like this thing, like its eyes are all bloodshot. It's just real jacked right now. It's juicing hard. Quill, it is your turn. Or you're the last one, I guess. The turn is a kind of a loose word. But
let's see here. Which dice do I use?
what dice do I use? What color suits me? Decisions.
I think.
Look at that pile.
That's not even all of them. I got the other ones in the drawer. I just don't want to pull them out yet.
Man, I
Yeah, I
wish I
guess
still
so.
had all mine.
I guess I'm going to turn on Power Aura,
Okay.
and we're going to try to swing just on dice. So I'm dumping everything on this one.
Oh, you just gonna, yeah. You going for the gusto.
Be good to Daddy. 14.
14.
Plus.
Oh, that's a hit.
Yeah, it's like plus whatever, like minimum.
Yeah,
I
whatever
have.
it was gonna be. Yeah. Whatever. If you've got even a +1, that's a hit. So.
Yeah, I figured with it being a large, but
Mhm.
I can touch it. Fuck. Okay, 1 second. No, this is a lot of math. That did just take a lot off.
It's time to calculate. Time to calculate and regulate.
I keep forgetting my additional 3d4. Huh. One of these days I'll remember that. Get all my sticks out here. Where'd the other one go? I'm blind! Sure, I have enough. There it is. It's camouflaged. For all the listeners at home, here's your some old dice rolls. Let's see. A lot.
Plus a lot.
Yeah, just the amount that I have added on is more than actual damage. Get the calculator. I can't. That's way too much to remember.
Dude.
I have 12 plus 5. Plus 3 plus. Oh. And I got 2. Was it to my attack roll or my damage roll?
Attack.
Oh, okay. So it's just,
Oh, I see. I see what you're asking. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, so you're gonna get a +2 on that attack, plus whatever else you did.
40.
For 40. Oh, okay. So
My base attack alone is 20. I dumped the whole thing.
yeah. No, it's good. It's good. So you freaking man, I like that gif for more reasons than one. Anyways, so you so you rear back, you activate your aura, and it's just and then you haul back with and just swing, just downward swing at this thing and freaking cleave it right in its head. Just bam, and you watch as a whole chunk. It looks like you're carving up Christmas ham. It just splits and begins bleeding down its face. And you feel its legs kind of buckle a little bit, but it stands firm. But now it's bleeding profusely down its maw, and it just looks at you now, you Quill, and gets up in your face, and it's just like, and it's going to
I swing again.
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You got multiple attacks. I forgot.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know how to play D&D.
that time I should have said it before. I was only going to take 10 off, but because it drops down drastically.
Yeah.
So it's oh yeah, my D4.
What do you got D4 for?
Eros.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
So there's 5 plus 8, that's 13, plus 10, 23.
That's a hit.
That's a 10. Calculator. What do we got? Come on, buy daddy a new pair of shoes. That's not a new pair of shoes. 9, 10, 11.
So what is that? 2 ones on the end there then?
Yeah.
Okay.
5. That time is only 29.
29. All right. So it like yells at you and you cleave back and you tell me, how do you want to kill it?
Okay. It's just fucking like blah, at me. I'm just like, shut the fuck up, and just right in its ugly ass maw. Fuck off.
You just like stick it like thrust into its
Yeah,
maw.
just stick it.
So it's like and you just rear back with your shield in front of you and then just thrust forward and send your sword through its mouth and out the back of its head and it goes kind of, you feel its whole huge body just kind of, or its whole body just kind of shift for a minute and then it just all 8 of its legs just fall out from underneath of it and it just and you guys feel the deck kind of again and but nothing and it is dead. It was just a spider, guys.
It might have been on roids, but it was just a spider.
But it was just a spider.
But the thing is that it's just one right now. You know, like we don't know what the deal is here. You know that the roids might have landed on a sack. You know, like you don't know. This could turn really, really bad. We can't play around with this.
Always playing around. I'll get with more sticks.
It's about
It's
this
a
time.
spider. It's not just a spider.
Zoltan, it's gotten to such a point in the hourglass that you can actually hear each individual grain of sand move upward into the in the hourglass. Tink,
I ain't liking this at all.
tink, tink, until it gets to the very last one. Tink. And the second it does that, you feel the hourglass push out of your chest. Now, it doesn't necessarily leave your chest. It's still connected there. It's just connected there by like an ethereal cord, as it were. But you watch as it pushes out of your chest in front of everybody and begins to spin. And when it does, it stops. And all the sand begins to fall normally again. And then it comes back into your chest.
And then you explode.
And then you fart. But
Android's gonna be like, strangely, that thing seems to be working more stably right now. Like, strangely, I was worried about that. That was making me sick, but, that seems okay.
He said that was making me sick.
I'm screaming in agony while that's happening.
yeah, Zoltan's like, what do I do? Zoltan, when that happens, though, like, you can see what looks like the faintest of cords. Like, it looks, think of an umbilical cord coming out of your stomach, right? And you can only faintly see it, but it looks like a silvery, whispery cord just escaping your stomach. And it's going off to a destination that you cannot see. And you can only see it ever so faintly right now.
I'll stop. You're a dad.
And no. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, or?
I can see a cord now.
Yeah, just like what looks like a silver cord escaping your body. Like think of like you have like an umbilical cord, but you can only faintly see it.
Is he the only one that can see it?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, what I mean by that is it doesn't, when you say that to Zoltan and everybody looks at him when that happens, nobody mentions the cord, but Zoltan can still kind of faintly see it. You see what I'm saying? And he hasn't said nothing to nobody about it. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, it hasn't been necessarily discovered.
Is like, would I be out of pocket by being like, Zoltan, what the fuck is that silver cord coming out of your chest now, dude? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Do I have to roll to see it? Like, I guess.
No, I guess I guess because he didn't ask right away, I should just say, no,
Yeah,
nobody else sees it. Yeah, nobody does. Nobody sees it.
All right, I'm gonna wait till we kill this man and bring this up then.
Oh, it did. I thought.
Yeah, it's dead.
Spider did.
Oh, it's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
where have you been? Where were you?
We were just concerned there was going to be more.
yeah, I was wondering if there's more than me. Can anyone else see this cord on my stomach?
You having a baby? What?
Yeah, no.
Can Agaricus like run up and yank it?
Okay.
Gary.
That is the correct answer.
I'm gonna say one thing right now. Agaricus can't see it, but Agaricus can run over to where they think it might be and see if they can give it a yank anyways. Agaricus can run up and grab the first thing they get in their hands and give it a yank if they so wish.
Agaricus does.
Awesome.
Zoltan has now been castrated. No,
Nice.
Zoltan is now a eunuch. So Agaricus, you run over, you just like feel around in the air, and when you think you've got, you think you know where it is, you kind of give it a yank. And go ahead and just roll me a d4, Agaricus. We're gonna leave this up to a 50-50.
Never been more scared in my life.
Well, it'll be funny if they do what I think they're about to do. Oh my god. So Agaricus, you don't feel anything. Like, you run over and you feel around in the air and you don't feel anything, but you yank anyways. And Zoltan, you watch as somehow they manage to grab the cord and give it a yank. You don't feel nothing pull on your body, but you watch as that cord now comes more into sight. It whips. And you can see it in its fullest, and it's a silver cord running from your body, and as it whips down, you hear like what sounds like like a string on a bass guitar, the thickest one, and it goes whoom, whoom, and what it is that when it whips, it causes a wave in this cord, and that one singular wave just goes whoom, off into the distance.
Does it go into the house, or is it just going out
it's just going world? Off into the open world. You can't
into the ether.
Yeah, you can't determine like where it's going off to. When you turn your body, it turns with you, but it like you said, like if you were looking at the cabin, it would look like it's going into the cabin, but not. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like it doesn't even recognize that the cabin is there.
I'm gonna ask Solar if he could tell me anything about this hourglass now.
Solar goes, the hourglass now or the hourglass then?
Yes.
As you're saying this, all of a sudden, Zoltan, you watch as the cord suddenly gets tight. Boom. And, what everybody sees from Zoltan is Zoltan just faints all of a sudden.
Oh.
His whole body just becomes loose and he faints. And the hourglass itself turns completely black and obsidian. As if it's just developed a shell over itself.
Oh no.
Zoltan, what happens to you is your ethereal personage, your essence as it were, gets yanked from your body and you are now being fished through the ether like a fish. And you're just flying on this cord, and now suddenly you're not even in the material plane. You don't know where you are. You're floating through what looks like a vortex of light and smoke as you come whipping towards an unknown location.
Huh.
That just happened.
Whoops.
So we've all just watched Zoltan faint.
Yeah, and the hourglass just
Or
become
just
this like,
standing there?
yeah, he's just standing there, and then all of a sudden he just faints, just crumbles to the ground, and you watch as the hourglass, like I said, just becomes this obsidian, like an obsidian jewel in his chest, as if it just grew like an obsidian shell or something. Just.
I'm gonna say Android starts tweaking. He is tweaking, man.
Quill looks at the mushroom and is like, the fuck did you do?
And Agaricus like grabs the hourglass and go back to his pocket dimension.
You may, you may.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
So you guys watch as Agaricus runs over, yanks the obsidian jewel out of Zoltan's chest, and opens up their pocket dimension and jumps in and shuts the door.
Is there anything I can roll as a reaction to try and stop them before they get in their pocket dimension, or is that just like a blitzkrieg? You know? Or can I say that? Can I say that?
Well, I'll say this, because you and Quill were so stunned by what happens, I will let you roll a reflex to see if you can get in the door before Agaricus shuts it.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna try.
No way I get robbed while being Dr. Strange. I got robbed with Dr. Strange.
Yeah, like, I can't just let my boys' J's get stolen right in front of me, man, you know? Like, that ain't right.
If anything, Quill needs it more.
I'm gonna roll this. Fuck!
Oh, I got fucking robbed, is what I mean. God, no way.
Okay, 21. Are you rolling to see if you get in that door too, Quill? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, 22.
22? Alright, so yeah. You guys managed to get in there just as Agaricus slams the door shut. Right? And you guys are now inside this littler hut. It is, just a square room, basically, big enough to... It's big enough to fit you guys, both of you guys in there comfortably. It's not incredibly small, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like that cabin you were just in, right?
Yeah.
It's got a bed. It's got 2 windows. You can actually see outside the cabin, out of them. It's got 2 windows by the front door. 2 on either side on left and right walls. No windows to the very back wall. It's got some kind of chest sitting next to the door. It's got shelves. It's got a bed. It's got a well-furnished alchemy table in there, though. But you see Agaricus in there. But what really stuns you is you see sitting in a chair in the room, you see another Myconid who is about 5 feet tall. So he's taller than a Garrug. He's about the size of a dwarf, really. Right? And he stands up, and he's even kind of more disturbing looking than Agaricus, if you can believe it. He's got a regular body that looks, 2 feet, two hands, arms, whatever. But it's just covered in moss and meaty mushroom, But his head is like a flora of just mushrooms. Different kinds of mushrooms growing out of the stump where his neck should be, his neck and head should be, is just shoulders. And growing out of that, he's got like a crown that looks like a split mushroom top that's acting like a mane with just tons of fat little mushrooms growing out of it. And he's got this staff with him, and he stands up and he looks at you both as you guys enter. And you see Agaricus standing there with the obsidian jewel in their hands. And Agaricus, you look at them now. Yeah. He just stands up and he goes, "What's this then?"
No, is that?
Yeah. Android is just like wide-eyed. He's still kind of tweaking, man.
By the way,
like,
you left Solar behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah. Solar, yeah. Fair
Just
enough.
FYI, you left Solar behind. So-
That makes sense. Android's still tweaking though. He doesn't even realize he's just abandoned Solar. He's just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He doesn't even know where to start. Like, it looks like, I imagine when he bursts in through the door, he's already kind of like halfway mid-sentence because he's like just rambling about the situation because he's tweaking, So when he bursts in through the door and the dude's like, "What's this then?" He stops mid-sentence and is just like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What is this? What is this indeed?"
You watch as he puts up one calm hand in your direction, Android, and he just goes, "Shh." He's like, "I'm asking Agaricus. What is this then?" And he reaches out and takes the obsidian stone from their hands.
Hold on.
I'm gonna say Android does just shut up. Like that stuns him into silence.
Agaricus just kind of presents it like a gift to him.
Okay.
And he takes it from you, Agaricus, and looks at it and kind of wipes it for a minute and polishes it, and inside of it he can see the hourglass, and he goes, "Oh." He goes, "Very, very good."
He just bows.
Says,
I tweak again.
Yuko's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need that."
He looks at you, Uquill, and he goes, Just a moment, sir." And he takes the hourglass in his hands, and he like puts his hand on you, Agaricus, and in Myconid, which is just like it's like a rooting speech. Like, he basically roots his hand to your body for a minute so only you can hear him, and he says, "Are you sure about this, Agaricus?"
He just gives him this really confused look. Like, what do you mean? Am I sure?
He's like,
Like,
"If you do this," he says, "if you do this, that friendship that you held so dear to you, I don't know if it can be repaired after this." He says, "I've given it a lot of thought, and I know what you must do." He looks at your buckler. He says, "That's got a blade on it, correct?"
he nods.
says, then I present you with two options. You can let me take this back to our mother and fulfill your contract to her, or you can be your own person and stab me with that knife and take back the hourglass. And then just tell them why you had to do this.
He just turns back at Android and Yukil and says, "Forgive me, please." And then proceeds with Dodd.
What a gangster.
With that, Dodd looks at you both, Android and Yukil, and he says, and he steps forward and says, you gentlemen, says, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm going to need to get out that door. And as I leave, I would appreciate it if you did not hinder us in any way, shape, or form.
Android's gonna be like, well, I don't know what is going on, but I appreciate that you're just speaking. He kind of pinches the bridge of his nose, and he says,
he goes,
This
shh. I was talking to the big one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways.
Android would have shut the fuck up again, too. He would have been like, he would have just been so baffled. Well, he's just gonna be like, whereas I understand, I don't think that you're going to return where you expect to. So I'm afraid that we can't let you do that.
He goes, well, I appreciate
for more reasons than one. For more reasons than one, we can't let you do that.
He goes, I appreciate you. I appreciate your concern. And he withdraws a key and he goes, but I go where I want to. He goes, he goes on, never mind. And surprise, he holds out both hands and freaking spores blasts the both of you.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah. Surprise! I'm just gonna roll this attack real quick. It is a ranged touch attack.
My AC is 73.
I know this hit you, but Quill, what is your current AC at right now?
He said, I know this hit you.
That's wild.
Mine is 28.
Okay, so he hits you both, right? So he slams. You guys watch as this Myconid, who, you're used to seeing what Agaricus can do, but you've never seen a Myconid like this, as he holds out his hands, and he doesn't even sneeze. It's just these spores, like fists, just hundreds of them just go pounding into both of your chests at like such a force you're not used to it. Go ahead and roll me a balance, the both of you.
Oh!
I'm getting robbed.
You said a balance?
A balance.
Not my boys, Jays.
Not my boys.
Yeah,
Chase.
they stealing his J's and his chain. This ain't right.
Whoa, shit. 20.
20?
Yeah, I can't get much better than that.
She said
What
that's
did
my
what did you roll to get
flavor
that 20?
17.
17? Okay.
Plus 3.
Yeah.
My balance is all of 30. Heavily armored, you don't have the best balance. In the
No,
world.
I know. So, Android, it sends you flying back up against a wall, just whoop, and you just like fall down on Agaricus's bed. You get hit in the chest, and you start to step back like you're gonna fly back, but you throw the totem shield in front of you and negate some of that damage. And while all that's happening, Dodd says, "Curious," and he unlocks the door and opens it up. and it's not taking them out into the into where you guys just came from. As he opens it up, you quill because you can see clearly. It looks like they're going into some cavernous area of some sort, and he takes you Agaricus and just kind of pats you in the door, and he himself goes to step out the door, but before he does, he quickly pulls out some parchment and quickly scribbles something on it, and then just balls it up and throws it at you guys and goes to shut the door. You quill, because you did not fall, I'll let you roll a reflex to see if you can't get through that door before he shuts it as well.
Gangster.
Are you sure you want to be separated?
Of all the characters in all the campaigns, yes, Uquill does.
Uquill's probably the only one of us that stands a chance at surviving that.
19, baby, plus 10, 29.
Oh, yeah. You come barreling at him as he throws the paper, and he's like, oh, crap! And you just come, boom, you hit him with the shield, and as you do, he shuts the door. The door shuts behind you, of course, because he's in mid shutting the door, so it slams shut. But the key breaks.
Huh.
And, like, in his hand, it, like, just snaps. You hit him with such force. And because you're doing that as you go through the door, something weird happens. Everything just kind of shifts oddly. And there's, like, this loud humming. And, everything goes real blurry for a minute. And then it just kind of focuses again. And you're still in a cavern, but the cavern doesn't look like the one you were just going into. It's completely different.
Oh no!
And Dodd, he's just kind of rolled over on the ground for a minute. He gets up and he goes, he looks in your direction, you Quill, and he goes, well, good job. Good job.
I punch Agaricus through the soul.
Oh, you punch Agaricus?
Here, look, I don't think you understand.
What did you roll? Oh my gosh. So Uquill, the first thing Uquill does when Dodd says that, he just looks at you, Agaricus, and punches you across your face. Fortunately, he doesn't have unarmed strike, so it doesn't do regular damage to you, but it's subdual damage, but it's a punch right across your head. Roll your damage for that, Uquill.
I think it's a D8, but let me check. It might be a 10. Yeah, D10. Just 10 points of subdual damage.
Okay, so you take 10 points of subdual damage. So Agaricus, that he punches you, and that's a critical though.
Oh yeah. So, a rocket shit.
How dare you?
Yeah. So what is your critical for that? Like a ×3 or something?
No, I think on if you don't have anything, I think it's just normally ×2.
Okay, so 10 × 2 is 20. Yeah, so he socks you for 20 points of subdual damage, which sends you kind of spiraling around. And Dodd just kind of stops you, Uquill, and he goes, "Now enough! It's not their fault."
Huh.
He goes, "If you want to blame anybody, you blame me." He goes, "But I promise you this, I won't be so easy to hit."
Uquill just like turns and kind of looks down at him, and it's like, I don't think you understand either. That is mine or his, nobody else's.
He holds the jewel in his hand and he goes, "It's nobody's." And he goes, "It wasn't even his to begin with." He goes,
That was the wrong answer.
he goes,
He doesn't
"Listen."
say that, but that is so the wrong
He
answer.
says, listen. I understand that you're the type who wants to fight to the death and then figure out things later, but I promise you this. even if you kill me and then you kill Agaricus, he goes, do you know where you are? Do you have any idea? Even if you get this gem in your hands right now, do you know where you are? Are you for sure that you could even get back to return it to him?
I'm resourceful enough.
He just kind of scoffs at that and he goes, not likely. He goes,
Yuko just chuckles heavily. He's like, again, you do not know who the fuck I am.
He goes, fair enough. You're right. I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. Let's not pretend to care. He goes, I'll do you the service of letting you know right now that I need you just as much as you need me. And then when we get out of this mess, then we can have it out. He goes, but until then, stop blaming Agaricus for something they had no control over.
Yuko just like grabs his head. He's like, you want me to work with you? Even though he looks at him and like regards him like for the first time again. He's like, ugh. Trust you two?
He
You
goes,
just robbed my mans.
I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to help keep me alive, just like I'm going to help keep you alive. He goes, where we are in the underworld right now is uncharted. When you broke my key, you reset the whatever it takes to get me back to where I was wanting to go, and it just plopped us wherever. He goes, I have no knowledge of this place. He goes, which means I know you definitely have no knowledge of this place. And it's bad enough for me, who is used to here. For you, there are things down here that you have probably never seen. He goes, I'm not even sure which underworld we're in, if we're even in one of the three main ones. We may be in just one of the tunnels.
Yuko takes a moment. Ponder. Underworld, you said.
Yes, we're in the underworld.
Been a while. Let me see what I got here. La, 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 la.
Oh.
First thing he does is just punch Agaricus.
It's been coming, okay? Yuko taps on his ring. Dot.
Dot comes on. Yes.
I know the answer. Try to get a hold of Android.
Zzz, 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 zzz. I'm afraid there is no answer. She says, strange. He is completely off our grid.
Yeah. Whenever it comes back up, send him a message letting him know that I'm in the... He looks at the uglier one. He's like, let him know I'm with these two in the underworld. I'll get back to him.
She says, will do. Diddy-dee-dee-dee.
He takes out fuck, I hate you for this. He takes out Yucca.
Yeah. And then
I love you and you love me. Let's get together.
What?
One more time for the one in the back.
Yeah, you trailed off at the end there, buddy.
Play it back in the recording. I know you heard it.
When you do that, you feel the miniature go shake in your hand, and you just instinctively toss it out, and all of a sudden you see the miniature grow to full size, and it's Yucca. And he goes, "What? What? And he looks around and goes,
It's
Where?
a long story. Don't. Not
Turn-
right now.
He turns around and looks
Not
at you and
right
goes,
now.
"You Quill." He's like, "Oh." He goes, "I was just with the Bonsai. I was hanging
Yeah.
out with the Cottontails."
I know.
Oh.
I know. It's been a long day.
And so, I don't suppose there's any chance you'll send me back.
Not right now. I need you. I may or may not have split the party again.
So for the folks at home, what Yucca is he's a chimera. He's got the body of a lion, the tail of a snake, and 3 heads. One head is a goat, one head is a lion, and the other is a green dragon. He's a large character. Think grizzly bear. It's just like, oh. He's like, well, and he looks at Agaricus and then looks at Dodd, and he's just like, oh.
Uh-huh. That's why I need you.
Dodd is standing there. He's like, oh, so you plan on attacking me with this beast and then taking back the gem then? He goes, I hate to tell you this, but even with the beast's help in killing me, you both will still not be able to figure your way out of here. I can promise you that.
Yuck will just sighs. He's like, I don't need it to kill you. Yucca, when's the last time we fought together?
Because like, well, and he kind of looks at his stomach and kind of pats it for a minute. You can see he's put on some weight, and he's like, well, when you left me with the Bonsai, I got to know the culture pretty good. He's like, I even can speak it kind of now. He goes,
He's just looking at Dot like, you see what I'm talking about? I don't need him. He's been chilling, bro.
he goes, they fed me really well. The Cottontails, you know, the big ones, the ones that they use to pull the carriages and stuff. They are just the sweetest little people. He goes, they kind of took me in as their own. I mean, they're great. Looks around, he goes, okay, and he kind of pops his back a little bit and stretches, and he goes, but if we're gonna kill this guy, and he turns to Dodd like he's
Yuck just pats him on the head. He's like, no, it gets to live for now. It's like, you're mainly here because I need somebody I can at least semi-trust around me. Don't eat anything down here.
Dodd's like, oh, you don't trust me then?
You robbed my maidens!
He goes, Agaricus again had no choice. I'm trying to tell you that.
Yuck will just, he looks at him for a minute. He's like, you always have a choice.
He says, not in this case.
I told Neril to eat a box of dicks. You have a choice.
He goes, Neril. Neril. And he looks at Agaricus and he goes, this guy speaks of Neril as if he has any dominion. No. He goes,
Oh, erroneous that he's a dumbass.
He goes, you don't know the forces in which we are dealing with here.
Please enlighten me.
He says, well, says I'm not at liberty to.
Oh, you troll.
Says, but I'll tell you this. Let's just worry about getting each other, all of us, and he looks at you to Agaricus. He says, all of us out of this alive. And then when it comes down to this, and he shows you the hourglass, the obsidian jewel encased hourglass, he shows it to you and he says, and then when it comes to this, we'll cross that bridge when we have to.
Yuck stares at it with an intense amount of desire for it.
Yeah.
Zoltan's dead.
He pulls it back and just absorbs it. He's like, huh. He says, it's not like he's putting it on. It's like he just put it in some pocket in his body that, it's weird because his body just kind of opens up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
As disturbing as it probably looks,
very anime, very meaty looking, you know, as it splits apart and he just...
Yuquil watched it enter him and he never stopped looking at it. Like he burned that image of where it's at into his mind.
I will chop you up into pieces to find it.
Yes, it will be mine.
Says, let's
Yuquil isn't concerned with returning it to Zoltan. He just wants it.
I don't understand completely. They do not know me like that.
I love Yuquil. He's so awesome.
Yuquil just sighs and puts fucking Eros up, and he's just like, takes a calming breath for a moment. He's like, get it later.
Straps the shield to his back and everything.
He's just like, woo-saw. Woo, woo, I want it. Anyways,
Dodd walks over to you, Agaricus. He's like, are you okay?
He just kind of looks at him with sad eyes.
He's
like a hurt puppy.
Yeah. He's like, that was very brave what you did. He goes, don't worry. I will keep my promise to you. And he stands you up. He's like, well, let's get going then. Let's figure out where in this place we are. Now I know we got two people who are really curious as to what has happened to their characters, but before we get there,
oh my god,
before we get there,
completely broke the party.
Android, you wake up. You were knocked silly, and you kind of remember watching Yuquil charge out the door before it shut and everything, but you find yourself now alone on the bed with that crumbled up piece of paper that Dodd threw at you guys, just sitting next to your arm. You know. Outside the window, you can still see the snow falling from the cabin area that you guys were at.
Okay. I read the paper. I guess I sit up and, rub my head, put my hat back on, and read the paper.
You open up the paper and it says, it's the funniest way. It says, hello, my name is Dodd. You don't know who I am, and there's not enough time to tell you, but I have to inform you and perhaps beseech you, and what I can perceive from you in particular, is a good nature. I beg of you not to blame Agaricus for what has transpired here. Agaricus thinks a lot of you and your group, but they were put between a rock and a hard place. And all I can say now is that when you can get your faculties together and situated, I need you and whoever else to travel to the East Underworld, to the Drow City. There you will get this hourglass back. P.S. Please forgive Agaricus. My name is Dodd.
Uh-huh. I guess Android is going to let out a deep guttural sigh. And he goes to put the note in his bag of holding, he opens it and is like, hold on. Panics. Almost gives himself a panic attack and snaps it shut and just shoves it in his pocket. Gets up, calmly walks out the door, and takes a look around. And when he gets in a good breath of deep breath, he just starts screaming, "Fuck! Fuck!" You know?
Yeah.
I imagine Solar's probably just watching him like, oh man, like Android's just tweaking. Like he goes over to Zoltan and like checks on him, and just sits down on the ground next to him and is just like breathing.
Solar looks at Zoltan and looks at you, Android, and he goes, I was standing guard by his unconscious body. He goes, he's still alive, if it makes any difference to you. It appears that the hourglass does not determine on whether or not a person can or cannot live without it. But
Yep, my
this
character's done.
this coma he's in, that I have no answer for that. And then he looks and he goes, where's Agaricus and you Quill?
Android just kind of stands up, takes a breath, and kind of scoops his arms underneath under Zoltan's armpits and starts trying to drag him back into the cabin. And he's like, East Underworld, I guess. He kind of reaches in his pocket and fishes out the note and holds it out to Solar and, kind of keeps dragging Zoltan.
Solar says, I wonder if that's our East Underworld or this East Underworld. He says, oh, no, that's silly.
Certain it's this one.
He says, no, that's silly. He goes, it can't be this one.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure. I don't know. You could be right. But Uquill did charge through that door. And if I know Uquill, he's a bull in a china shop. Or excuse me, a Pengshun shop. He's a bull in a Pengshun shop. So we need to
He says, I almost know for a fact that it can't be this underworld, Android. There is
I'll take your word for
there
it.
is no
I'll take your
underworld
word for it.
as far as we're concerned right now.
He says, that very good. I'll take your word for it. He says, I don't need to know anymore. I don't need to cause any problems. I'm not touching my bag of holding. I'm not even fucking looking at it. We need to get Zoltan inside. We need to figure out where the fuck Otis went. I am very concerned about the implications of what will happen if we drag Zoltan through that door in this comatose state, Solar.
He says, oh yeah. He says, then we wait. We just wait.
Android looks like he wants to vomit.
Says, come, let's at least get him into the cabin and keep him warm. And then he looks at the hole in the wall and he goes, relatively.
Very good. We'll wait. We'll just wait.
It's very, very well then. And you guys begin to drag him through the door. But as you're doing that, as your Solar becomes his giant eagle form and just kind of flies up there because he doesn't feel right about he's kind of hovering, kind of waft his wings. He doesn't feel right about standing on that deck and putting any added more pressure to it. And he just kind of reaches out a talon and just kind of helps you scoot Zoltan in through the hole. He like kind of picks him up and helps him up over the broken pieces so he's not just getting cut by all this glass and everything. And as you guys are doing that, something peculiar happens.
My weary heart.
Yeah. You guys watch as it looks like just like clouds of glitter start floating in your direction. And Solar shrinks back down to his normal healer form. He's just a regular sized eagle that shimmers now because of his celestial light. But he looks and he looks at these clouds of glitter floating in your guys' direction. And he says, "Oh, great. Oh, well, I was hoping this wasn't the exact time and place, but apparently it is."
I'm gonna draw my swords. They just spring open. I'm dead. The second Solar says that, Android just activates his swords and catches them. And he's like, "All right, it's going down."
As the glitter gets closer, you can tell that there's like a humanoid form in the midst of it with these shimmering wings, and there's like 4 or 5 of them being led by a 6th one out front, and they all come landing in front of you. And what you see standing there are women, tall humanoid looking women, clad in armor. But the armor looks like it's made out of like, it looks more advanced than what you're used to seeing as far as armor would entail. You know what I'm saying? And these women are tall. They're tall. They're taller than you per se. They're as tall as human women, I guess you could, if that helps. Yeah, and they just have this glow around them. It's almost like they're just like a moth, how it's got that dust that's just constantly coming off them. That's kind of like that with this glitter and these women. And they're being led by a sixth one of these women, although she's not dressed in armor at all. She's like in a gown, and she's got this like long red hair, and they all look like they all look young. You know, they look like they're fully formed women, but their faces, they're young. Very childlike looking, I guess you could say. And yeah. And they just all stop, and the one with the red hair, she just looks at you, Android, and she says, "Now, what is the meaning
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to." They land, and Android just says, "I didn't mean to."
She just kind of courteously smiles at this. She's like, "Yes. Well," she says, "tell me, what is the meaning of all of this?" She says, she looks, and she says, he looks to be, you're an elf, of course.
It's a good thing.
Are you not?
It's not there.
Wood elf, half.
A half wood elf.
Praise everything, you will jump through the door.
And she looks, yeah. And she looks down at Zoltan, and she goes, "And what kind of elf is he?"
Drow, half.
She says, "I see. A half wood elf and a half drow." And she raises an eyebrow, and you just kind of, Solar, like, is sitting on he's sitting on your shoulders now, and you feel him just kind of grip your shoulder. She says, "Well, aren't you guys just out of pocket?"
Yeah, you're gonna be really upset when you find out about the halfling. He just swallows dryly. He says, I'm at least half supposed to be here." He just kind of like nods his head, you know?
He said I'm supposed to be. God damn it.
She looks at the giant spider, and she goes, "That is a giant spider."
I was gonna dispose of it.
She goes, "I see."
It started with that, I think, and it just devolved from there. We were gonna, the plan was to just kill it and remove it so that we didn't cause any more problems, because once we realized what this was here, we We wanted to backpedal. We were trying to get out. I'm sorry. He just bows his head further, you know. He says, I didn't mean to. I was really trying to get out of here. I was really trying. I didn't mean to mess this up. He says, Lorethian, forgive me.
She kind of just gives you a half smile at that. She looks over at Solar and she goes, and you, a celestial eagle. I didn't think you all came off of your perches anymore. Solar just kind of goes, like you said, I'm out of pocket. She said, yes, quite. She says, and she looks at you, Android, and then looks at Solar, and then looks at you again and kind of squints. And her squint it's not menacingly, but there's something very uncomfortable about the way she's looking at you two now.
Like a knowing sort of thing. Can I roll a sense motive, I guess?
Yeah, you can roll a sense motive. You're so nervous you can't really determine all of this. It's so awkward. You know what I mean? And she's just making you so uncomfortable with the way she's looking at you now. And she kind of blinks once and she says, I see. She says, you're really out of pocket.
Quite.
She says, so. Then she looks at Solar and you feel him more than you see him, but you can tell that he's shaking his head. No. She says, very well then. She says, then, how about this? I think I know what happened here, but I'm unsure. She says, you cannot stay in this condition, to be sure. And then she looks at the, at the others, and she begins to speak in Sylvan to them, which you know Sylvan, right?
I do.
Yeah. And she tells them, dispose of the anomaly. And she motions to the spider. And then she looks both back at the three of you and she says, I'm going to need you to accompany me. It's only with me and mine that you will be safe. For we have not forgotten the old ways.
I guess Android kind of looks to Solar, you know, like, is that okay?
Solar looks at you and he knowingly and he just kind of nods his head.
Android says, very well then. And he says, he kind of bows and he's like, yes ma'am, I apologize. We didn't know what this was when we came here. We thought it was just a pocket and
She says, don't tell me anymore. And she just walks up to you and opens up her hand and blows like this glitter dust in your face. Normally, elves are immune to a lot of these things, even half-elves. But you find yourself just get knocked clean out.
Nice.
Okay, over. You got stalled.
Otis.
Lumped.
Yeah.
You find yourself in a pillar of light for like a few minutes. You and Cassius, as Cassius is just flying. You know, he was flying. He was in mid like air, just kind of flapping his wings, and suddenly a pillar of light just came and grabbed you both, and you're just inside this pillar of light, and it feels like you're rushing upward, but you can't tell but it just feels like all the light is like raindrops as it's rushing past your body with inside this cylinder of it. And when it finally, it's loud, like just as this is happening, and then suddenly, boom, it vanishes, and you find yourself hovering inside this chamber, this grand hall. And you, before you standing before you, you see a man. He is as well clad in armor, and his armor is this like bright blue color. And he's on either side of him, he stands there with these other knights who are in bright blue armor. And they look at you, Otis, and they're like, "What is your name?"
Otis Hirokin?
Otis Hirokin. Well, Otis Hirokin, that is impossible.
How, may I ask?
He goes to say something, and then you hear like a even louder booming voice just echo throughout the chamber. Now, this grand hall, it is finely decorated and beautiful, you know, like think of it like that, you know. And you hear this even louder booming voice just suddenly fill the hall from some unknown area, and it says, "Not another word. Bring him to me now." And with that, the one who is speaking to you, the man with the beard and mustache, he looks at you and says, "Well, you have been summoned." And he motions for these double doors that just suddenly open. He says he will hold an audience with you.
Okay. And can Cassius come?
He just shrugs and says, "I don't see why not."
Okay. Otis just like terrifyingly making his way through the doors.
Yeah. Cassius just kind of lands on the ground and goes like prancing with you on his back through the doors. Yeah. And as you guys enter, the doors close behind you. You find yourself in this grand library full of like different things that you don't think you've ever seen before, you know, floating all above your head in like mystical formation are these calculations and these wheels and numbers and runes and letters and things that you know, talking about in languages you don't think you even know. And it's all circling around in this library. And at the very center of it all, you see this elderly looking gentleman, right? He's got this long white beard and mustache, and he's dressed up. Clearly, he looks like a wizard of some sort. And he's at this table, and everything he writes, everything he does, manifests itself into these spectral calculations and formations and things that are floating throughout the entire room. And he sits there writing silently for a moment before finally looking up at you and saying, "Well, you may enter. Don't be shy now."
Otis is still on Cassius?
Yeah.
Okay, Otis is going to climb up and just make his way towards him.
He says, "Otis Hirokin. The Otis Hirokin."
Yes, sir.
Says, "Interesting." Says, "And what would bring you here?"
Here is in where I'm currently standing, or so where I'm currently standing. I'd assume you brought me here.
No. I'm so sorry. Not where you're at right now. I mean here.
Oh. A key.
I see. And he says something in a language you don't recognize, but the word, you know what I'm saying? He kind of mumbles something in a language you don't recognize, but you can tell just from his tone, he's kind of cursing a little bit. But he does say one word that does ring clear, you know, at the end of all of his, I guess you could call it rantings, as it were. He's like, you know, just in some foreign language, but then he says the word, puddle stop, or puddle snap. He's like, puddle snap.
That's not nice.
And then he looks at you, Otis, and he says, you don't know where you are, do you?
I do not.
He says, well, thank the creator for that.
I mean, when we came in the door, we were basically told the less we know, the better, which I'm trying to keep it that way.
Says, well, let me guess. If I may venture a guess. You had a key. You used it thinking it was a pocket dimension with furnishings of some sort. Maybe a mansion, maybe a tiny little hut or a cabin of some sort. Something of that nature, correct? But when you came in there, it turned out to be an actual place. This place, whatever place it was that I just pulled you from. He says, where did I pull you from? And he waves his hand, and you watch as this chart just like appears in front of him, and it's like a globe, and he's spinning it in his hands, and he's just fiddling with it, and he says, ah, yes, the Isles. He says, yes. And then he just kind of closes his hand into a fist, and when he does that, the globe vanishes, and he says, so it brought you there, and it turns out that you weren't in a pocket dimension at all. You're in Loxos, doing Loxos business. Something like that? Something roundabouts like that?
That is correct.
And then he mumbles again in some unknown language to you again. It's like, ugh. And then he says it again. Puddle snap. Well,
What puddle snap is?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Otis would know who Puddle Snap is. In fact, I don't think you guys have a character in the party who could even roll to know that name.
I thought he was asking if he was gonna. Yeah.
Oh, you were asking in character, or you were asking meta?
I was asking in meta, but I
Yeah.
was going to in character and be like, what is puddle snap?
Oh, okay. So then you say that. What is Puddle Snap? And he looks at you and he says, Puddle Snap is a thorn in my side. Tolo Bite, Puddle Snap.
Whole bite?
Tolo Bite. That's Tolobite. Puddle Snap. Puddlesnapp.
Okay.
He says, yes, Total Bite, Puddle Snap. He says, says, I suppose this isn't going to hurt anything, but basically what he is he was an architect who went rogue, and now he deals with formulas that are beyond him.
I see.
Says yes.
If I may be so bold, why am I here?
He says, "Oh, you're here because you had something that," and he looks at his library and he just kind of holds out his hand, and you watch. I mean, it's a massive library, so you don't even see where it comes from, but eventually down one of the halls of books, you just see this book come flying into his hand, and he sets it on the table, and it's an exact duplicate of the monster manual, and he goes, "You're here because you have an unfinished copy of this," and he pats it.
Oh.
And when I felt somebody trying to use it, I naturally had to react. The Watchers saw it, and they brought you to me.
I was just trying to figure out some information about a giant spider.
He says, "Giant spider. You haven't even been here for a fortnight, Otis, and already a giant spider has appeared." Which would...
Otis that turns to Cash, it's like, yeah, you could thank him for that.
Cassius just kind of stiffens up, and he goes, I didn't mean to. And the old man looks at Cassius, and he says, "Do you know who I am?" And Cassius kind of looks him over for a minute and squints his eyes, and then his head snaps back, and he just nods, and he's like, I do. He goes, Because you are a celestial griffin. I didn't think you all came off your perch anymore. Of course you don't. Not now, anyways. So you've only been here for a fortnight, and already you've created an anomaly. Something that would terrify the general public.
We honestly did not mean to cause any kind of trouble. We saw what was occurring, and we intended to take care of it before anybody saw and get rid of any evidence that would have been left behind. We know that we can't cause any problems where we currently are. We were made aware of that.
Says, well, fortunately for you, you're near Phelan. So, where I pulled you from, you're near Phelan. He just looks at you for a minute and he goes, don't worry about it. Let's just say that they remember the old ways, and they're probably handling it right now.
Okay. And forgive me for being rude, but who are you?
He looks at you for a moment and just kind of smiles. And you can see that he's debating on whether or not he's going to tell you, and he just kind of shrugs and he goes, why, I'm Macabre.
Oh my goodness.
Says, I'm not... Let me explain something.
Otis bows.
Yeah.
Like falls on his face like, I am so sorry.
He just watches, and Cassius is just kind of looking down at you, and he looks over at Macabre, and Macabre just kind of smiles. He says, yes, you can stand. You can stand.
Okay.
He says, I'm not the Macabre you know. Not... He thinks about it and goes, not yet, anyways. Says, we've got to see about getting you and your friends back home, Otis. And at about...
I'm going back out the door, right? I mean,
well,
that should work, isn't it?
At the time that he's saying this, all of a sudden, the double doors swing open, and you see two of those knights dragging in Zoltan's celestial, like, incorporeal body. They're like, they got him up by either arms, and they're just dragging him in as his head is hanging low.
Oh,
and they're
my
like,
word, what happened to you?
And they're like dragging him in, and they're looking, and they're like, Lord Macabre, we found this one on a silver cord. He was attached to it. He looks at him and goes, attached to what? And they're just kind of quiet. And he's like, well, don't just stare at me like I'm a troll dick. Attached to what? And they're like, it, sir. He goes, oh.
I'm sorry, what's it? And is it something that we need to be worried about?
He doesn't even answer you. Like, he doesn't even look at you like you're even there right now. He's just staring at Zoltan, and he says, oh, and he stands up and moves over to Zoltan and motions for them to drop him. And he rolls over your incorporeal body, Zoltan. Like, the way you look right now, you don't look flesh and blood. You look kind of like an outline of a spirit, sort of. You know what I mean?
Oh, so they're able to see me?
Yeah, they can see you. Yeah, they can see you. You're just kind of incorporeal. You're kind of see-through. Like, looking through you is like looking through through distorted blue smoky glass. You know what I'm saying?
Turned down.
Huh?
His opacity's turned down.
Exactly. And yeah, like your opacity's turned down. And he just kind of chants something over your face, and you watch as like, and Otis, you watch as like magic, the purest magic you've ever seen, just kind of leaves his hand and wafts and goes up Zoltan's nose. As Zoltan, you wake up, just kind of like, what the heck? Yeah.
Why Sleeping Beauty?
But Cobb kind of puts a hand on your shoulder and he's like, easy now, boy. Easy. Easy. He's like, you've had a jarring journey. It's not every day someone's essence is ripped from their body. It's like, you all did this? It's about that time the one with the beard comes walking in and he says, I didn't know what else to do, my lord. Says, well, you don't just yank him from his own body, fool. Says, get out of here. You're causing more trouble than it's worth right now.
Otis is going to approach, like, yo, you okay?
I'm baffled.
You're not the only one.
I'm gonna bow to the man that still there and ask what's going on.
He looks at you and he says, what's going on is that you were tethered to something that shouldn't exist right now, or at least shouldn't exist within your possession. And with says the hourglass, correct?
Yes. How do you know about that?
He goes, well, first of all, don't call it the hourglass. That's not what it's called. It's known as the time frame. Says, come with me. And he like motions for you guys to follow him as he like, you watch as he goes around a corner of books. Like he just goes around a bookshelf. He says, come on, follow. Don't dally.
Otis looks at Zoltan and just proceeds to follow.
I'm gonna follow as well, I guess.
Cassius just kind of quietly follows along. He takes around the corner. You see that there's a doorway that he's already entered. So the door opens and he says, come in. As you guys enter, you see this big domed chamber full of like all kinds of machines. Like these machines seem to be floating around, like they're moving around in a circular formation, and they look like these arms sitting on other arms that are hitched to some kind of mechanical machine, and they're moving around in a circular formation, and hooked to these arms you see one center ball, and then attached to that ball is little posts coming out of it that are attached to these other circular looking lines that have smaller balls within line of them, and they're all rotating around that center ball, and it's all moving in one giant structure, and there's dozens of them moving around. And but what really takes your breath away is in the center of all that, Zoltan and Otis, really, in the center of that, you guys see a giant hourglass so large that it's actually touching the ceiling of this dome. I mean, it is massive in scale. It looks like almost like a tower, half the size of any tower you've ever seen, and it is wide, and it's just flowing sand through it as it glows. Says, like I said,
asking this, but what is all this?
Says, well, it's the time frame. Says, I confiscated it when science decided to become the primary magic.
Science?
Says it's not for you.
Is that like alchemy?
He kind of nods and says, he says, alchemy has survived, yes.
Huh.
Okay.
Says, anyways, he says, when you use the time frame, it sent out a message, and we realized that there was something tethering to the time frame, and he motions to the time frame in the center of the room, and he says, and so my watchers, and I'm really sorry about that, pulled you here. He says, he says, but I fear, and he looks at the time frame now, and you watch again as he starts like opening up all these different, like out of thin air, these different like pictures of and graphs and different things of languages that you don't even recognize, and he just starts moving it around. And he goes, but I fear it's already vanished. It's not here anymore.
You mean the one that was in my chest?
He says, it was in your chest? And he looks you up and down, and he looks you up and down, and he goes, oh, I suppose it was in your chest, wasn't it?
Otis looks at Zoltan and says, there was something in your chest?
I forget how little you see things, but yes, it was. The last time I showed someone, I showed you Quill, and you Quill wanted it out of nowhere. And then I did the same with Android. Android, out of all the people, went a little crazy. So it's a little scary to show people.
He says, yes, it's a natural function of it.
Huh?
He says it's a survival mechanism. Something of its nature cannot just exist on its own. It's got to be in the care of someone. And so it's a survival mechanism. You can't help but want it.
Ah.
Says, let me ask you. Have you been in danger recently from anyone actually plotting to steal it from you?
No, not that I was aware of.
He says, that's strange. It usually doesn't try to flee whoever is in possession of it, unless it feels like it's in danger. He says, precisely why neither one of you are desiring it right now. Because it knows it's as safe as it possibly ever could be.
Sure, I honestly have no interest.
He says, exactly. And he points at you, Otis. He says, exactly.
Side tangent real quick. Zoltan, what happened with the giant spider?
We killed it,
Oh,
but
thank
I
God.
don't know what happened after that. To be honest, as you can see, I'm here now.
Yes, I can see that. I just didn't know how long you were there after I, vanished.
Yeah, we managed to kill it.
Okay, good deal. Anyway, sorry about that.
He's like, I don't like this at all.
Neither do we. You're not alone.
He says, but, he looks at you, Otis, and he looks at your book and he says, continue doing what you're doing. When you get back home, continue to use the book. Take my word for it. I will highly appreciate it in the future.
Thank you. Is there any way you could possibly tell me how to get a hold of the other you to request an audience?
He kind of laughs. He's like, oh.
Can you give me a little hint?
Says the only way. Says I really shouldn't be doing this, but I suppose what's inevitable is inevitable. He says I had no idea. I had no idea, which is odd. You think I would have known something like that, but things are just weird like that. He says, well, he says there is a continent called Ali Zahar. You may know it as the Great Desert. When he says the Great Desert, it rings a bell. Says, my primary worship is there. Or you will know it to be my primary worship. Says, how do I... Let's not get hung up on semantics. Go to Al-Zahar. Find the town of Papu Sudan and go to the Golden Dunes Monastery.
Go to what monastery, sorry?
Golden Dunes Monastery. Says, go there and tell them that you know.
You know.
Just tell them that you know. Tell them that you know the one who doesn't speak speaks. And they'll know what you're talking about.
Okay. Thank you very much for telling me that.
Says, no problem. I would take care of your little issue. And he says, almost knowingly of what it is that you want. He goes, I would take care of your issue, but that would be putting the cart before the horse at this point.
That's why I didn't ask you directly. I'm really trying not to mess things up even more than they already are.
Says, maybe they're not. Things are just kind of funny this way. Says, I really will have to speak with Alexander about this. He's the only one who will understand, I think. Anyway. Well, and he looks at you, Zoltan, and he looks at you, Otis, and he says, let's get you back. And with that, he just claps his hands. And Zoltan, you feel your incorporeal body just get yanked right back. Just you feel yourself fly backwards, and Otis, you and Cassius just feel like you just got dropped into a hole of light.
Another hole.
Yeah. When you come back, Otis, you find yourself back at the cabin, hovering in the air where you got left off, but nobody's there now. Everybody's gone. Otis is what? No, Otis is what?
Otis is just gonna go into the cabin.
Okay. You, Zoltan, you wake up all of a sudden, and you find Android and Solar standing there amidst a bunch of tall, beautiful women with these shimmery butterfly wings, and they just seem to be constantly just like fluttering glitter off of themselves as they look at you. When that happens, there's one in particular, a redhead, who just looks at you, Zoltan, and she says, "Oh, he's back."
Thank goodness.
I'm gonna grab my chest.
You find that where the hourglass was is gone, but the chest in of itself is healed completely, as if there was nothing there to begin with.
Android sucks his teeth and nods.
Where'd it go?
Agaricus took it.
The fuck you mean Agaricus took it?
Precisely. My thoughts precisely. Uquil went after them. We pushed into their pocket dimension, and there was another mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no answers. But we're gonna have to go to East Underworld to get it back. I have it on good authority that that's where they're at. The big mushroom threw a note through the door before Uquil punched him in the face through it. So I hope it's okay. But I fear that it's in no safer hands with you, Quill. But I'll just put faith in him and in Coralon the Rethian.
Yes.
When you say the name of Coralon Larethian, the winged women, they all just kind of start muttering to themselves, "Well, Coralon Larethian," and the redheaded one says, "Silence!"
Android just says, "I am neither confirming nor denying anything." He just says, I'm not trying to mess anything up. I'm just, it's just, how my people are. It's just how we speak. Just think of it that way.
I'm gonna look around and ask him where we are.
The redhead says, "I can't tell you that." She says, "There's much that you cannot see." She says, with that said, the lady will want to speak with you immediately. And she just kind of smiles and she says, "And don't worry about my colleagues when you say the name Coralon Larethian. They're just foolish and young, and they don't know that sometimes it's better to be seen and not heard."
I'll take your word for it, and I won't analyze that too hard. He just bows.
She just smiles. And
That's a good thing Uquil's not there.
In his best, trying his best to keep in mind what Sebastian had taught him. That he looks dignified.
she just smiles. And about this time, the doors open up and more of these women in armor come in, and they're like, "The lady will see them now." She says, "Well, our time here is finished, gentlemen." She says, "It was an honor to meet you both."
With that, I'm looking around for the halfling We're like,
Wait, she says that to us?
Yeah.
Oh, Android's just kind of like, likewise, I think. Thank you.
Zoltan's gonna pipe up and say, there was a halfling also at the cabin.
Android just kind of looks at him and he's like, I don't know where he went. I was hoping that when we get back he'll be there, but let's not mention what we are in front of them. It apparently causes a ruckus.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
he already said the he already said the word halfling out loud, and when he says halfling, you watch as the redhead, her eyebrows kind of go up in the air, and she says, "Halfling."
No, you misheard, Android. Android's like, no, you misheard.
She's like, "No, I didn't." She says, tell me, this halfling, where did he go?"
So I'm gonna look at. I'm looking at the that Android and Solar. I'm scared now.
She's like,
Android kind of clears his throat and he's like, I'm not really sure. I'm very sorry.
She says, halflings can be kind of destructive, right? She says, a halfling here, that would be. And as she's saying that, all of a sudden you watch as this blonde, another one of these women, she's blonde, and she comes walking in. She's in this like fine blue gown that just glitters all over, and to look at her, you think she is the most beautiful woman you have ever seen in your entire life. You know? And
That's
she
a good thing equals not there.
Yeah. She walks in and she says, enough. She says, this is not an inquisition. And the redhead turns to her and looks and she says, of course, my lady. I am so sorry. And she says, it is no problem. She says, go back to the cabin and see if you can find the halfling there. Bring him here and be kind and gentle.
Yeah, I was good to that one.
And she turns to you, Android. She says, well, welcome, Android Farisen, to my humble abode.
Oh, Android looks sick.
I'm looking at Android and saying I'm sorry.
He just looks at Zoltan kind of nervous and grabs the back of his head and forces a bow. He's like, I haven't even, he knows who we are. Like, bow.
Okay.
She knows.
I oblige and I bow.
She says, ah, yes, Zoltan Heisenberg.
Nope.
She says, and then she looks at Solar and Cassius, or no, Cassius ain't there yet. She looks at Solar and she goes, and you must be, she raises an eyebrow and gives a half grin and goes, Solar. Says, I am. She says, as you wish. And she looks to both of you and she says, don't be afraid. You are completely safe here. I am the lady.
We hope so.
Indeed.
She says, come with me to my chambers then, or not my chambers, but come with me to the room. And she motions for you all to follow her, and she takes you to this it's like a wooded area, and the trees are like bowed, and they seem to be like sprinkling starlight out of them onto the ground. There you see in the midst of them a throne made out of like, looks like as if the trees themselves formed this throne for her to sit in. And when you enter this room, you feel that, which isn't really a room at all. It's like an area that's outside, but it is sheltered as if it was a room, because it feels as if nature itself works to her command. And she moves around, and you feel like complete peace here. There is no sense of danger or urgency. Just that nagging feeling that you've been feeling since you've been here to begin with. But you don't feel as at all threatened. She says, this is my, what would you have called it? A throne room, as it were. Says, we of the fairies have not forgotten the old ways. And then she turns and looks at you both, and she says, so, if you don't mind in regaling me of how you got here, I would be interested to know.
Well, we were in Pangshun, and we were trying to enter what we thought was a pocket dimension. And forgive me if what I'm saying is controversial. But
it is not.
We entered into this area, and we thought it was, magic. And Solar and Cassius were acting weird about it. And we realized it was magic, but not the kind we were thinking. And we made a mistake and accidentally summoned a giant spider. And we realized that was very bad, so we killed it, and we were going to dispose of it properly in our own realm. We were going to drag it back through the door. But something happened, and Agaricus knocked Zoltan out and took the hourglass out of his chest and ran into their own pocket dimension. Agaricus is this little mushroom creature, mind you, from the underworld. And Quill and I push into the pocket dimension after Agaricus, and there's another mushroom in there. And it fights us, it beats the shit out of me, it knocks me out, but as I'm falling unconscious, I watch Quill push him through the door. And when I woke up, I had this note in my lap saying that I needed to follow them to East Underworld. Solar informed me that is probably back in our own home, most likely, because of how it is here, I guess. He says, furthermore, while we were fighting the giant spider, Otis and Cassius just kind of disappeared. And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they are coming back. And the fucked up thing, we just got Otis back from the Nine Hells.
With that, I'm gonna tell them that I saw them and they came back with me, but not with me in that sense.
So, in androids, do you tell them the whole encounter, or do you just say that?
Yeah. No, I tell them the whole encounter.
Okay, and android's like, well, I hope that that settles it then. I don't know that is a good thing, but I hope that settles it. He just bows.
Well, she listens to the account, both of your accounts, and at the mention of Bakab, she raises an eyebrow at you, Zoltan. And then you guys continue speaking. And then when you're done, she goes, most of what you've talked about, I've had to read books over time to have knowledge of this. I wouldn't have prior knowledge, I guess you should say, to some things. I don't mind saying that in those days I was ignorant to a lot of things outside of my purview. She says, but it sounds like you brought an extra time frame.
Yeah. What is that?
She says, well, she goes, to me, mostly myth and stories. But to some, a very great reality. And then she kind of mumbles for a minute and she says, puddle snap.
Oh no.
She says, so, she says it can only be. She says, so, did Bacab mention puddle snap to you, Zoltan, by any chance? He didn't. You weren't there at the time that he told Otis about him.
No, he did not.
Says, oh, well, let me tell you about my first-hand account with Tolobite Puddle Snap. Because I feel like he's the one responsible for this.
If you don't mind me asking, responsible for what?
Why you're here.
Oh.
Puddle Snap was an architect. And when she says the name architect, Android, that kind of rings a bell.
I glance at my bag of holding.
You glance at your bag of holding, but that doesn't seem to... no, that doesn't seem to connect.
Oh.
At all. For it was not the architect who gave you the bag of holding.
Yeah, I just thought that was going to be like the thing because I figured it was, you know, Puddle Snap sounded like a very trickster name, evolved trickster name to me.
Yeah, Tolobite Puddle Snap. But she does say the word architect, and that does ring a bell. I will let you roll a bardic knowledge to see if you can draw upon the memory, but while you're doing that, she says, Tolobite Puddle Snap was an architect who dug too deep and was even rejected by the other architects. And it, unfortunately, you're not the only ones that we've had this problem with. You're just the only ones who have made this problem greater than it is. What? Okay. You get to thinking about it and you're like, architects. And then you remember, when you were in Emerhold, defeating the unknown, you met a group of gnomes known as the Architects. And one of them let you guys use his flying ship, the Legacy, to get home on. And the Architects are, like, where you were, the Architects are kind of well known for being these gnomes who are capable, like, each one of them has, like, a specific, I don't want to say a degree or, like, a master's degree or a doctorate or anything, but each one of these gnomes, as you understood it, yeah, each one of these gnomes, as you understood it, are educated in a particular, like, field of magic. The one that you knew so well, the one that helped you guys out so well, he was the one that had the flying ship, the Legacy, and his name was Igmos Tinkerhands, because he was the one that was missing a hand, but he had brought his hand back to life and it would hang out on his shoulder and do things. He had the little Ifigi helpers that always went dee dee as they walked around all the time, dee dee on the ship. And he you remember that he said he was an Ifigi master, or effigy, if you will, but he referred to it as Ifigi. He had that really thick accent. And okay. Yeah, you kind of remember that. You also remember that Mindox spoke with one of them called Shanley Star Speaker, but he never really told you guys what he had talked about with him.
Okay, so I guess Android's gonna be like, so wait, so like, is that like the gnomes?
She looks at you and she says, "Oh, that's right. The unknown. The Aethar. That's correct." She says, "I suppose you've already had a run-in with the architects. Once." Says, "Yes, yes. He was an architect himself, but again, he dug too deep. And not even the architects, accept him now."
He flew too close to the sun.
Says it's all a thing. It's all a thing that he's been doing. She says, I don't mind telling you. And she goes over to her throne and sits down and just kind of crosses her like limber legs, like, and places both her hands on her knee. She says, I don't mind telling you that what Puddle Snap has been doing is he's been making these keys. There are some who are still in the know, Android. And that's important for you to remember. She says it's kind of an honor to be the one to tell you. And I know that doesn't make any sense to you right now, but it will. Says there are kind of some who are in the know still. And what Puddle Snap does is he rents out their properties to those in the know who want to vacation to places with amenities that they themselves wouldn't normally have. Whoever sold you those keys has spoken with this Puddle Snap. What's going to eventually happen is something's going to break. And it's not going to be something that is repairable. If he does not stop. So, when you get back, if you don't mind handling this Puddle Snap business, that would be great. And me as a DM am saying this with a big old smile on my face right now. I'm going to completely break into meta because I know exactly what's happening here. I know what it is I'm doing to the party once again, but I kind of have no choice. She says, if you could keep an eye out for this Puddle Snap, and if you get a chance to handle it, that would be great, because we can't still have those from where you came from vacationing here. And then she kind of looks sad, and as she has to say this, because she can't figure out any other way to word this, she says, because not everyone from where you are has traversed the journey to here. There are some who some forms of life that if anyone here saw that they exist, it would I don't know how to explain it. Fortunately, most things can be played off as disbelief. So, one random denizen seeing another random denizen, I suppose I should say, it just gets played off. I live in a very disbelieving place, Android. Most would just say, oh, I saw such and such, and most would just say, you're crazy, you didn't. But if the many saw just the few, that would that would be too many to play off as myth. And I don't know how else better to word that to you without inadvertently breaking something myself.
Android just kind of thinks on this for a minute, you know. He's like, very good then. So, how do we fix this? It says, when we return home, I have a chore list to do, but I will make sure that the puddle snap thing gets handled. But, is this okay? What we've done here, will it be okay, I guess? I know you said that most of it can be passed off as disbelief, but, I mean...
She says, well, the giant spider is being disposed of, and, we will handle whoever owns the home who decided to strike the deal with Puddle Snap in the first place. Says, we will get you home, and as soon as you said that the 2 of your companions have probably already traversed back. So you'll probably need to go and find them as soon as you get back. As far as Puddle Snap goes, I don't know how to find him. He's terribly elusive. Terribly.
Well, if he's in my ballpark, we'll find him.
Find whoever sold your friend the keys. Whoever sold your friend the keys will definitely have some kind of dealings with Puddle Snap, or at least point you in the right direction.
Okay.
Otis. Yeah. Otis, you're just hanging out in the cabin, just kind of sitting there with Cassius. And Cassius is just kind of sitting there kind of sheepishly, and he just kind of looks at you, Otis, and he says, I'm sorry for causing such a mess.
It happens. Oh, as you own it.
Says, well, I didn't know that that was going to cause that spider to grow. He goes,
I don't think any of us would have known that, but nonetheless, like, just I know it's a lot coming from someone like me, but use your head.
He says, well, he goes, I got all these responsibilities, and he goes, I didn't know that becoming a celestial griffin was just going to be this freaking hard, you know? So I literally had to go to the 9 hells to get you out.
And I'm still ever so thankful that you have. It's okay to relax a little bit.
Yeah. I suppose. As he's
Like
saying
right
that,
now, you can breathe.
he does. He just... No, I'm just kidding. He just,
Ew, you're fine.
Wow.
Yeah. He just breathes. Says, okay. So where do you think everybody went?
I don't know. All we can do is just sit here and hope that they come back.
Says, you think they went out the front door?
I guess it's possible. Let's just wait a little bit and see. We'll give them, I don't know, an hour, maybe. Hour or 2. And then we'll just figure out what to do from there.
All right. As he's saying this, you watch as his body begins to fade. Says, oh. He goes, oh. Looks like my time is up, man. I've got to recharge.
All right.
He says, I'll
Relax.
I'll catch you in a little while. And he goes back into the monster manual and becomes a medallion on it. He's like, don't do nothing until I get back.
Yeah, make no promises.
Yeah. Otis sets a fire in the middle of the room. It's cold in here. Otis, you're just sitting there staring at the book, and then you hook it back to your belt, and you sit there for a few minutes, and then suddenly you see these clouds of glitter come floating into the cabin all around you, and within the glitter you can see these. Yeah, within the glitter you can see these women who are clad in armor with wings, and there's only a couple of them, and there's three of them, but two of them have the armor, and then one of them is leading them, and she lands first, and the glitter fades, and she's got this red hair, and she's, this beautiful, elegant woman, and she looks at you, and you say it was the Griffin's fault, and she just smiles and goes, "You're a halfling."
You're observant.
She says, "How?" She says, "How quaint." She's like, you say, "You're observant." She just kind of giggles a little bit, and she goes, "I've heard about the wit." She says,
here all night.
She says, "How? I would have never expected." She says, "I was told that you were here with a griffin."
Oh, yeah, he's not here right now. He's in the book.
She looks at the book that you're pointing at, and she says, "Oh," kind of ponders that for a minute, and then she kind of, you can see that she just decides she's not going to question it. She kind of goes, "Oh, well, it's a shame. I would have loved to see one of those too."
Oh, Otis pulls out the medallion. Here he is.
She looks at the medallion, and she says, "Ah, yes. Currency. Archaic, but it's currency. Yes."
No, it's the Griffin.
She just looks at the two, and the two just look at her and kind of shrug, and she says, "Okay, yeah. It's a griffin, yeah." And you can tell she's just kind of like...
Otis just
She's
frowns
like, "Yeah."
and is just looking at him like, this bitch.
She says, "Ah, yeah, I see a griffin, yeah." She says, "Well,
The coin is not the Griffin. He's in the medallion.
She says, "Of course. Of course."
I don't have to explain myself to you. What do you want?
She says, "Well, your friends. We're with your friends. They they sent us here to get you. They said that you might be here back at the cabin. They said that you vanished in a pillar of light."
Yes.
She says, "Well, we have them, and we'd like to take you to them, if that's okay."
Yes.
She says, "Very good, then." And she leans in and blows some glitter in your face that just knocks you right out.
I've been drugged.
Before you go out, she's like, "Pull his pants off." No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Whoa.
I'm supposed to remain pure.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't understand. You can't do this to me. And then you faint and is Agaricus still awake by any chance, or did Agaricus fall out?
Agaricus is dead.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to put Agaricus and Uquill on hold till Agaricus gets back. Yeah, I suppose this is where we actually can end tonight's session, really, if I think about it. Yeah, kinda.
I was gonna ask the lady if she knew anything about the time frame.
Well, you can. We can play that out if you like, while you guys are waiting for them to get back with Otis.
See.
Okay. So you ask her if she knows anything about the time frame?
Exactly.
She says mainly it's... She ponders how she should answer this. She goes, "Mainly for me, it's all historical." myths and legends, really. She says she says most history today is worked out in such a way that some things are labeled as mythology or what we would call folklore. And some of it is so droll because the problem with society today is if it cannot be explained or seen, most will not believe it. She's like, we're just fortunate enough to be integrated enough into society that the fact that there's an entire race of women, and only women, that happen to have wings on their back does not surprise anyone. She says it was a sacrifice we had to make in order to survive. Says, however, we might be in the same predicament as some. If we had not. She says, as far as the time frame goes, again, only what I know about myth and legend, and well, supposedly there was once a place called Mechanus, and within Mechanus there stood the Eternal Clockworks, and I'm just going to recite to you what I know. Inside the Eternal Clockworks sat the time frame, guarded by he who keeps the time, Alexander. And the brilliant thief by the name of Chanticleer snuck into the Eternal Clockworks and stole the time frame for himself. And then the little imp scampered away. And so it is believed today that he traverses the time.
With that, I'm gonna look at Android and be like,
Android shakes his head. I mean, do what you want. That doesn't mean don't say it. That just means Android's like, no. But I mean, play as much D&D as you like. Because Android knows the whole thing about the Chanticleer. You shared that with him, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Android's gonna advise you to not say anything. You can just be like, I know the story type thing, but do what you want. He's gonna be like, say very little. That's all he's just gonna say. He's gonna shake his head and be like, just say very little.
Huh.
She watches this interaction with you two and she goes, now, according to what legend says about the time frame, she's like looking from, like, she looks at you, Android, and then back at you, Zoltan, then back at you, Android, and then she looks at Solar, and Solar shakes his head. She says, according to legend about the time frame, is that it's a key to time. Supposedly, those who own the time frame can travel through the canals of history.
With that, I'm gonna get the Zoltan gets sad about it, or he tries to hide the fact that he's getting sad.
Says, imagine. Can you imagine if one owns such a device, like really owns such a device? Would mean they could go anywhere and do anything. You could go back and change anything. Heck, it might even one who wants that might even, you could go and fix any wrongs you've ever made, avenge anything that's been wrong to you. And as she's saying this, Zoltan, it dawns on you. You're like, yeah, they could, couldn't they? And it suddenly becomes very clear to you because you knew that Loth wanted the time frame. And it sends kind of a chill down your spine because you realize now what Loth why Loth wants the time frame. She says, yeah, with such an ability such as that, she says, but I mean, it can't be all that, right? She says, you claim to have had the time frame in your possession, which is fascinating. Just fascinating. And you didn't traverse the times, did you?
No and yes.
With that, Solar says, I think what's important right now is just getting these guys back and finding where Quill and Agaricus are. I think that's what's important. Wouldn't you agree, lady?
Quill's gonna kill a god.
And yeah.
I don't think "kill's" the right word with this one.
When he says that, the lady just kind of smiles and says, "Oh, of course. You are quite wise, aren't you?"
I'm giving Solar a distinct glare now.
Solar he's aware of it. You see him kind of look at you out the side of his head, but he doesn't react. He just stands there very stoic. He suddenly has become extremely stoic, you've noticed.
The android's just kind of like, I'm sorry, Zoltan, I'm a Mandalorian now. I used to party.
Get him around Quill just for long enough, he'll falter.
Pretty soon the women, the fairies, as the lady called them, the fairies walk in with Otis carrying him in like a baby.
Oh, no.
They just got him, like, they're not like cradling him or anything. They've just got him in their arms and they walk in and they set him down. They're like, lady, we have located the halfling. And the lady looks at you, Otis, for a moment. She just smiles and she says, a halfling.
Am I awake or am I still passed out?
She says, how interesting. I haven't seen one. And then she realizes what she's saying and she stops and goes, interesting. And
You haven't seen one.
she just she walks over and like rubs your face, Otis, to wake you up. And when you open your eyes, you see this woman, this beautiful woman with long blonde hair, smiling over you as she rubs your face. And she's like,
Are you God?
She giggles. She's like, no.
I mean, you could be.
That catches a scoff from Solar when you say that. Are you God? He just goes.
Otis looks it over at Solar and like, hey.
He's like, no, I am the lady. She says, and you must be Otis Hirokin, correct?
Oh my god, you know my name.
She says, yes, I do. Welcome. And she stands you up. She says, I hope it didn't bother you too much. We had to hinder you a little bit because we could not. It's important that you guys don't actually know where you are. I'm gonna be honest. You shouldn't know of this place.
Otis then proceeds to turn towards the group and walk towards them, just like away from her while she's still talking.
What a gangster.
Says, well, now that you are back together, at least most of you, I suppose we should get you through that door and back home. We will clean up the mess here for you.
Sure. By the way, guys, I'm at Pacab.
Yeah.
I heard.
You heard?
I'm impressed.
I mean, it wasn't exactly intentional.
She says, "Oh yes, why did Bacab send for you?"
Oh, it was a special thing called Nunya.
Awesome.
When you say that, she just kind of flinches a little bit. You can tell that she's not like insulted. She looks just more hurt. She says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize
I'm
I
just
had."
messing with you. It's because of the book.
She says, "Oh, what book?" And the redhead says, "Oh, he's got a book that has a griffin in it." And she just smiles.
Otis turns towards her and says, "It's a good thing you're pretty."
She just smiles when you say that. She says, "Why, thank you." She says, "You're cute too." And she leans down and kind of like pinches your cheek. And the lady says, "That will be all." She says, "Yes, yes, lady." And she leaves. She says,
Otis proceeds to grab the monster manual. This book,
she looks at it and she goes, "Oh." She looks at that and she goes, "I've seen that somewhere." She's like,
Well, it's probably best you don't tell me where, because we kind of know too much already.
She says, "Indeed. Indeed you do." She says, "Now that we have you all back together again, I suppose, we've got to get you home." She says, "It would have been quicker to just, bring your friends to you at the cabin, since that's where we're going back to, than bringing you here first, but you'll have to forgive me, Otis. I wanted to see a halfling."
No worries. I am halfling.
She says and you watch as a tear kind of rolls down her cheek, and she kind of wipes it away, and she looks embarrassed now, and she says, "They are just
Oh
wonderful."
my god, all the halflings are dead.
Says, "They're just wonderful." She says, "I will treasure this moment for as long as I live." And with that, you just watch as a whole bunch of glitter like just flows in your guys' direction, and you all pass out again. When you awake, you're in the throne room in Pangshun. And the door and everything has vanished now. It is completely gone. And you're awake with a bunch of the royal guards standing around you guys. And Mazaru is in their midst. And she's like, "Are you guys okay?" It's like, "We found you here. Completely, like this. And two of your ranks are missing. You, Quill, and the little one, Agaricus. They're completely gone. What happened here?"
Android kind of thinks, and he's like, we're okay. We were. I can't totally explain, but we're okay.
Says, "Oh, all right." And she just kind of
Message.
she kind of bows, and she says, "I trust it." She says, "Well, good news. My sons, Yin and Yang, have returned. They have the location of Fang Titan whenever you're ready to head out and speak with him."
What new message?
Yeah. He says, give me just one moment, please, before we head out. He kind of steps off away from them for a second. He like bows to her, and then steps off away for a moment and holds up his ring, and he's like, Divine Line? Can you reach you, Quill?
The divine line comes on, and he says, "Yes, I can. In fact, you have a message from him. Would you like to hear it?"
Please.
And it Basically explains to you everything Uquill said within the message. Which was what exactly, Uquill? Again, reiterate it just one more time, if you don't mind. Or don't. That's cool too. Or you don't have to. That's cool too.
It said, "Oh, fuck yourself."
Nice.
Yeah. You just get a message from Uquill be like, yo, F you, and F your mama,
Yo, bitch.
and F your life. What was the message again, though, Uquill?
I'm with these two assholes somewhere in the underground. I'll let you know when I know more.
I am going to send a message to you, Quill. That's essentially just explaining what went down and that we're back. We're gonna run to Fang Titan, and then we'll be on the road to regroup.
The divine line says, very well then, I shall make sure that this message gets delivered to him.
Thank you. Android over and out. He just drops his hand.
Yeah. Uquill, while you're traversing, and we won't get into too much detail of it right now, but while you're traversing with all of them, Yucca and Dodd and Agaricus, your ring suddenly like shines and it begins to glow. And a voice appears in your head and says, this is the divine line. Android, and he plays the message for you of Android just explaining everything. He says, that is the message he has for you.
Equal size. He's like,
Alright.
sounds good.
Says, very well then. And then, woo, you just hear him, woo, and then Dot comes back. She's like, I have another message for you, Uquill, if you would like me to play it.
This won't be good. Go for it.
She plays a message, and you hear a voice say, Uquill. Don't think that I can't find you. I thought I knew where you were. And then somehow you kept the rings out of my sight. But I see you again. You all are scattered, aren't you? He's like, what is the old adage? A house divided cannot stand. He goes, continue being where you are for now. I'm going to deal with the others first. Then I'll come find you. Then Dot says, message end.
Return to sender?
She says, return the message?
No, I've got one for him.
Okay.
Eat a box of dicks. I am
Nice.
the pillar of this motherfucking house, bitch. Come get you something. You want some real smoke, bitch. You ain't shit, bitch. You stupid ass little bitch. Dumbass little bitch. Wishing you was somebody relevant, dumbass bitch. You know where to find me. Don't fuck with him. Come get you some, pussy ass bitch. Have a nice day.
She says, okay. Message sent. Will that be all, Uquill?
Yes, thank you.
Woo. You're like ranting and raving next to Dodd, and Dodd just kind of looks over at you as you're doing all that in your ring, and he says, trouble in paradise?
Never.
He just kind of laughs. He's like, he just kind of sighs. He's like, I'm going to say this and I don't mean it how one would say. I made my threat earlier because of the threat I just made. There are things that I'm pissing off. And he looks at him and he's like, no offense, that would scoff at the existence of you. And I piss on their boots as I walk by, quite frankly. He's like, so forgive me sometimes when I'm arrogant.
He says, oh, not at all. Says as he walks with you, he's just, because you guys are just like climbing through caves right now. You're just traversing all these different tunnels and whatnot. And he says, I myself, I have seen much. And I have seen a lot of arrogance in my life. Those who thought they were untouchable, only to find out that they weren't as unstoppable as they first thought. He says, so if you are the type who reminds them that they are yet, that they can still yet bleed, then by all means, go right on ahead. It does not affect what's happening here one way in the slightest. He says, because I guarantee you, they won't be able to find you. Not here, anyways.
Yuko kind of sighs and he's like, I want to believe that, but this one, yeah, I might have actually walked into a place you can find me easier. He just kind of laughs and shakes his head and he's like, fuck me.
He says, perhaps, but I promise you this, it'll cost him a lot to get to you. I think... He goes, no, I know. He goes, there are 3 civilized underworlds. Well, one of them is... They have a strange dialect, and they don't actually call it the underworld, but we have the eastern and western underworld, and where we are is in between. We're in the in-between right now. He goes, so I promise you this right now, even if they know where you are, it's not going to be beneficial for them to try and come get you right now. He goes, in fact, it's not beneficial for us to be here. He goes, I don't know if you notice it or not, but here, just touch the ground. Just touch it.
Yuko humors him.
You touch the ground, and when you do, you feel this, like, vibration. It's not a slight vibration, but it's not so bad that it's making your whole arm shake, but it's like a humming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you feel that? Says that's what it's always like in the in-between. He goes, if that ever gets so bad that it makes your whole body shake, we need to run. Because it means whatever cavern we're in is about to collapse on us. These tunnels, these areas, these caverns, they're not meant to last.
So they're not natural, is what you're saying.
I'm saying some of them are. There are safe areas to traverse the in-between. Safe being a very relative word. But there are parts of the in-between that, yes, they weren't meant to be sustainable. Who knows? Maybe the Delvers climbed it out, cleared out this area once upon a time. Maybe the Great Ogren did. I don't know. He's like, what I would give to run into the Great Ogren right now.
He puts his eyebrow and just like, okay.
It's like, well, we would know. We would at least know that we're on the right track. If we did. Because you don't know much about the underworld, and I understand that, so I'm probably just speaking infernal to you. But trust me when I say that if we run into the Great Ogren, it's going to be both shocking and comforting at the same time. Because nothing he's going to dig out is going to collapse on us right away. And there are other things that... Because I honestly don't even know how some of these outsiders even exist in the in-between the way that they do, but they do. But nothing's going to come near the Great Ogren, that's for sure. But our chances of running into him are very slim, so there's no point in even worrying about it.
Was just kind of chuckling. He's like, it was a gamble to try to buy my friends' time. Hopefully, maybe divert their attention towards me.
Says, well, you never know. Perhaps that one you're talking trash to, maybe they are easily baited.
Chuckles. He's like, no, not normally. But then again, I did just kind of pull down my pants and show my ass for him. So maybe I'll get lucky just once in my life.
He says, well, I really don't know what you've got going on, but I can tell you this. And again, let me reiterate this with you. Until we get to that time and place where you feel comfortable airing out your issues with me and Agaricus, I can promise you this one thing. I can tell just by looking at you that you're no warrior of small stature. And in the predicament I find myself in particularly, any kind of motions around, like, just look at this place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes, I can use somebody like you helping me out. And I want to promise you this, that I am no pion mender of small stature. I've seen combat before. I'm not like Agaricus. I am a war Mycodid. I have been in battles before with all sorts of different denizens down here. Anything from phase spiders to the Illithid. Heck, I've even had to deal with a beholder.
Yeah, you cool. Just like, it's not like a, how do you say? It's a tremble, not of fear when he says Illithid, but of like more of like a disgust.
Says yes. He goes, well, it pleases me to know that you, when I say the word Illithid, that you understand what I'm talking about. He says, so I want to make this vow to you now that I've got your back as long as you've got mine. And despite whatever grievances we may have, there's no reason we can't be civil.
Equal just sighs. He's like, yes, I will choose you every day of the week over one of those. And
Yucca goes, what's an Illithid?
Don't want to know. It's like, actually, you probably have nothing to fear. You have no brain. And he just kind of walks.
It's like, what the heck, man? He's like, I'm gone for just a few days and already you're a dick for no reason? What is that all about? And he goes walking by Dodd, and Dodd just kind of looks at Agaricus, and even though Agaricus isn't going to know this right now, so I'll reiterate it for them in the next session, but Dodd just looks at Agaricus and nods and tells them, I promise you I'll fix this. And then he begins walking. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Nice.
To be fair. So I hope
You know what sucks about that?
about what?
About ending D&D right there?
What?
I don't have work tomorrow.
Oh, for real? Oh, really?
I
Neither
really
do
don't.
I.
Well, shit, hop on the game, cuz. I'm about to shoot the J.
I'm about to shoot the J. Well, if I'm telling you right now, because I don't have work tomorrow either. If Agaricus were awake, we would continue. Well, no, because I think Otis has work tomorrow, don't you?
Yes, but it's not like later until the day.
Yeah.
Damn, cuz.
We would just have an extended session and just be like, you Golden Wonders, you better get ready, because here comes a 5-hour.
That's for my
We
J's.
got like 2 interviews and then work, and work's only like 4 hours, so I mean, it's not like it's gonna kill me to stay up.
Go wake up Agaricus.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah.
Shake the fuck out of her.
You know
We'll have
what?
an
I'm
So
intermission.
you Golden Wonders might be witnessing how D&D works for our group sometimes. There's times where we'll be like, it's time to go, and then we'll just all kind of decide that, well, you know what, we're just gonna push it a little bit. This might be a 2-parter, actually. You might be witnessing a 2-parter.
You know what I'm upset about?
I will be right back.
I'm starting to realize Solar would probably never tell Zoltan anything about the time frame.